All right, a very good morning, everybody, from the flight deck. Once again, Captain Navs is here with you for another live Twitch stream here, a Pilot's Life live on Twitch. And just want to say thank you to everyone for tuning in. Welcome back to the stream, everybody. It's been a little while since I've had a chance to do this. And yeah, it's going to be great to get back in the flight deck. I know I had promised in the last stream every 2 weeks or so I was going to try and do a stream, and I had every intention last week of doing a stream until, unfortunately, illness struck my family. Last week it was my kids initially. My one daughter especially took most of the week off school because she was sick, so I was taking care of her instead of doing the live stream, which of course is the priority. And then even on the weekend I eventually got sick, so today I am a little bit sick. Not terribly sick, but a little bit still. Just a little bit of a runny nose every once in a while. So if if you see me dabbing my nose while I'm on stream, I apologize. It just runs seemingly randomly, and not continuously, but just every once in a while, just all of a sudden just runs. So yeah. But otherwise, yeah, we are here for another live stream. We are still flying for Scandinavian here on A Pilot's Life. We are flying the A320, as you can see today, and there was some A320 news, and we're actually going to talk about that a little bit. And we're going to talk about it here through our flight plan. So, yeah, we've got, what have we got to do today? First of all, before we talk about our flight plan, let's talk about what we're doing today. And what we're doing today is we are in Munich right now. For those of you who don't remember, we finished our last episode in Munich, and we are going from Munich all the way up to Oslo. So if I can turn off the auto follow for a second, and then there you go. There you go. So from Munich in southern Germany all the way up to Oslo, Norway, that is our flight for the day. And again, we're doing it in the trusty A320. We've got a good flight plan going on here. Before I even get into it too much, there is some stuff in the flight plan here that I do want to show you. So if I can actually put myself on the screen, there I go. Good morning, everybody. And if I can put my flight plan on the screen. And that's not the flight plan. There you go. That's the flight plan. That's the flight plan we're looking for right there. Scandinavian 4760 here, going from, again, Munich to Oslo. Some dispatch remarked weather fuel for possible de-icing and arrival weather. It looks okay right now, but there's a chance of some snow departing Munich, so we put some de-icing fuel in there. ATC fuel for arrival departures at MEL, number 279301 Alpha. ELAC 1 failed. So for those of you guys that have been watching the news, you know that this has been big news in the last week or so. ELAC 1 fault on this aircraft. So there was an emergency AD that was released to last week or the week before. I think maybe it was last week even. There was an emergency AD that was released by Airbus that required an immediate rollback of ELAC software that had been updated to the newest version to the previous version because they discovered that there was some code missing that ended up causing an issue. There was an aircraft that had an uncommanded nose-down pitch and cruise for about 6 seconds before the ELAC realized it was faulty and switched to the other ELAC. And Airbus examined this. This happened at the end of October. This is about 5 weeks ago this happened, and Airbus examined it. They determined that the reason was that when the updated software was released, there was some missing code that hardened it against solar radiation, and inadvertent bit flips had happened as a result of solar radiation, because when the aircraft are flying, they're up closer to the sun, they're less shielding from the atmosphere, so it is more likely that the aircraft software is going to get affected by solar radiation. And solar radiation particles passing through the aircraft, passing through all of us, passing through the Earth every day, are more likely to hit an aircraft in cruise and potentially knock an electron or two out of place and possibly cause an error in a computer. The computers are supposed to be hardened against this. However, some of the code that was supposed to do that was forgotten, omitted somehow on the new version, and so they rolled it back. Pretty quick fix for most of the aircraft, but nevertheless, it highlights kind of the importance of the ELAC. So I thought today we'd do the ELAC. Failure for the MEL, and it's a bit of a complicated MEL. They do not like flight control MELs. I'll say this about Airbus: they want everything as much as possible functioning before you depart. Pardon me. So if I could pull up this MEL here, it is a complicated one. So this is the ELAC 1. You'll also notice, and we'll talk about this later, but ELAC 2 cannot be MEL'd under any circumstances. ELAC 2 must be operative. If ELAC 2 fails during a flight and you want to MEL to get it back to a maintenance base, you have to take the two computers and swap them. The operative computer must be in the ELAC 2 position. ELAC 1 can be can be deferred with a bunch of major conditions. ELAC 1 or any ELAC 1 function may be inoperative provided that ETOPS is not conducted. All SECs, SFCCs, LGCIUs, RAs, ADIRs, and FACs are operative. So basically every other computer that's important to this operation has to be operative. You can have only one major malfunction computer because they're all interrelated. They interdepend on each other, and they are redundant because they all depend on each other in different ways, and there's multiple different computers. But if you get two computers that perhaps depend on each other, you may start to really lose some functionality if two computers go down. So all the other computers have to be operative. The pairs of spoilers 2, 3, 4, and 5 are operative. The TR1 and TR2, TRUs 1 and 2 are operative. Both accelerometers associated with the ELAC2 are checked operative before each flight, and all side stick transducers associated with the ELAC2 and the 3 SECs are checked operative before each flight, and the DC tie connector 1PC1 is checked closed before each flight, and the elevators and roll spoiler is checked operative through the SECs before each flight. Some of this stuff we can do. Some of this stuff is maintenance type stuff that really only maintenance can check on. So this is the kind of thing, it's going to be a burden on an airline. To run with this MEL, it's going to be a burden. It's the kind of thing that you're going to want to run with it the minimum number of legs. It's burdensome on purpose because A, there's a lot of stuff that's affected by it, but also B, it really forces the airlines to be like, we're going to fly this airplane the one leg to get it back to our home base, our hub. We're stuck in Munich, which is an outstation. They probably do have maintenance. They probably could get it fixed. But if you were some small airport where they did not have any serious maintenance, you'd have to probably ship a mechanic in to run all these checks. Then you could ship the airplane out. You probably wouldn't want to do more than one flight with it like this before you go and bring it in the hangar and probably just replace. If the ELAC computer is faulty, just replace it, and then maybe send it out for diagnostics, but replace it with a working computer. But yeah, the note FO takeover push button cannot disengage autopilot 1, and then there's a whole procedure to go with it too. So if I go here to 28 and go back, because it's basically the end of the section here. That's the SEC. This is the ELAC 2, I believe, right here. ELAC 1, excuse me. So here we go. So flight preparation limitations. So for aircraft with the RPAR capability, RPAR operations is not permitted. If autopilot 1 is engaged for landing, which will be our case today because I'm flying left seat, maximum landing capability is Cat 1. If you use A2P 2 because it's ELAC 2, you can actually still do Cat 3 single. But for me, Cat 1. During cockpit preparation, yellow pump is not available. Pressurize the hydraulic system with a ground cart. Or both yellow and green engine pumps with both engines running. Replace any action on the yellow pump push button switch. So we're going to have the yellow pump. It works. So if the flight control ELAC 1 fault alert is displayed on the EWD, we've got this whole procedure to perform. If the flight control ELAC 1 pitch fault alert is displayed on the EWD, we got this whole thing to perform to make sure that everything works. And then again, approach. If autopilot 1 is used for the approach, CAT must be the PF. And due to the fact that ELAC 1 is not electrically supplied, the FO takeover push button cannot disengage the autopilot 1. This is why the captain has to be the one flying if they're using autopilot 1. The FO switch cannot disengage autopilot 1. He'd have to lean forward, press it on the button, but the red button on the side stick does not work for the FO to disengage autopilot 1. They can disengage autopilot 2, and the captain can still disengage autopilots 1 and 2. But anyways, that's just the hierarchy or the design of the system. We're going to see what comes up because I faulted the ELAC through Fenix. We'll see what comes up during the cockpit preparation here once we get this thing running. And we'll have to perform one of these procedures to do all these tests. Anywho, point being, we're going to hop in the flight deck now and get this show on the road. That took me about 10 minutes to just explain what I wanted to do there. I hope I'm coming through bright enough, everybody. I'm tired of looking always washed out and the color being terrible on my face, so I'm going to maybe turn this light up just a hair, but like I find that I always come through very washed out. So I've actually put some diffusers on my lights in this room, which still allows the light into the room and it's bright, but at the same time it's not shining and reflecting off my face and making my face transparent like it has in past videos. So I'm trying some things today. I also tried a little experiment today, and I realized that probably one of the biggest things that has been impacting my performance when I'm streaming is the streaming itself. OBS, the software that I use to stream, does take a lot of resources, and what I have noticed is that as soon as I use it, the sim slows down substantially. So when I'm not streaming, my sim is just running like butter. When I start streaming, it does impact it. That's why last time I was like commenting on it was working great yesterday, today it's not so great. You need a ring light like those. I have a ring light on the camera here, but it's such a ugly white. It's such a pure white light, but it's not very pleasant. If I turn this up to full brightness, I think you'll see like it adds like almost like a greenish white glow to me, and I'm not a big fan of it. What you really need is you need ambient light, good ambient light. I'm coming to realize that. That's why light diffusers have actually really done a nice job on this. And I'm trying to get away with less color compensation, so my face kind of looks a little bit plain, but the trouble is that these are they're sealing their pot lights. Like I could probably get a whole new system of pot lights, but it's the whole basement is done with about a dozen pot lights embedded in the ceiling. There's one right here, there's one right back there, and the trouble is the one right here and the one right back there tend to really kind of project a lot of light directly onto my face and make me reflective. So, yeah, I like the warmer colors. I definitely like the warmer colors. But anyways, that's why this is a little paler than usual. I'm trying to be, because if I can mess with this, but I find like when I mess with it, I don't like it. I find it just makes me look, it makes me look way too artificial. If I try to turn off the saturation, now I look like I'm suffering from like really bad acne or something. My entire face is turned red here. So I find that like the saturation, I've messed with the levels and I'm not happy with most of it. So, anyways, be thankful I still have hair. I have some hair, anyways. It's a bit of a patch there where there's no hair, but anyways, thank you for the criticisms. I appreciate it. You're filling me with confidence before this live stream. Let's get this show on the road because we got a lot to do. We got to run this whole procedure. So, let's do this first of all. We're just gonna switch to the overhead view here, and there is our faulty ELAC. We're going to make sure that we get our batteries on here. And I'm just going to turn up this
Thank you.
background audio, but I feel like the problem is my headset's volume, I think, is down here. If I could just find the volume controller on my headset. All right, so hopefully there's a little bit of background noise there, but it's not too loud. All right, and anyways, getting those ADIRs on. Got the batteries are on, crew supplies on, nav lights are on, number 1 position. And all those hesitations, they tend to go away when I'm not streaming. So it's just the streaming software that really, it takes a lot of resources. All right, we do need to check the hydraulic level. All the fluids are good, and apparently this is coming soon. Fenix is one of the things they talked about state saving. So when you shut down the airplane, it's going to remember the state it was in, the hydraulic levels, the engine oil levels. You'll be responsible for periodically topping them up. If you don't, you could run out of hydraulic fluid or engine oil instead of always starting with the maximum amount of oil and oxygen and everything else in every single tank. So that's something that it's going to be nice to look forward to. I think what we're going to do is we're going to just get rid of the Unicom for now because it's going to be a big distraction for us. And let's see if we can make some determinations. So we do not have any ATC online. That's a bit sad. But let's see what we can find out here about what runways are in use in Munich today, so we can make some plans. So I'm just pulling up FlightAware really quickly here, looking at it, and if I could type, I could probably find Munich. The search will go a lot faster. All right, so it looks like we are east flow. Looks like they're departing off both runways, so since we're northbound, we'll probably depart from the north runway. It looks like that's what they're doing, but it is an east flow here, so I believe it's 08 is the runways. And what we're going to do as well here is we're going to hop into the system here, data, aircraft status. We're going to start by swapping the database to clear everything out that might be stored in the system. And then we're going to do our city pair. So we're doing EDDM to what are we? What is it? EGNM? ENGM. I keep on wanting to say EGNM, but that's Leeds. ENGM is Oslo. And initialize our IRSs. And if I just look over here really quickly and make sure that the LATLON that we're initializing at makes sense for what we're doing here. So Munich 4821.2 north, 4821.2 north by 1147.2 east, 1147.2 east, and that's also the GPS position. So we can align on ref. What the Airbus prefers now is just aligning on the GPS position if it's available. So if we have a GPS primary lost, but it looks like we do have a GPS now, then they'd rather us align on that and just verify that that is correct. So there we go. So there's the alignment, and then we got to wait for the IRs to align. While we're doing that, we can do a couple things here. We can ignore that message because I loaded this up pretty early on. We can start our boarding process, and we can start our takeoff data process. So 8 left would be the departure runway today. It looks dry out there, but there's a chance it's going to start snowing. So I'm going to go with wet runway for departure. Flap config optimal, force toga. I'm going to say no right now. Oh, we'll put the anti-ice engine and packs on for this departure, sync the load sheet, and then go up. So it looks to me like that is 62.5. I'm going to go 63, and boy, I had no idea that OBS was responsible or was slowing this down so much. And if I could figure out a way to like reduce the amount of slowdown happening on this, it'd be great, because this frame rate is ridiculous right now. I can't believe the frame rate right now. Like, I'm just looking at it and it's just like, how am I suffering through this frame rate? There we go. It's a little better already. Tom GT, good morning and welcome to the live stream. All right, so we did up our takeoff runway by a little bit there, so we're going to go ahead and calculate this. And it looks like we've got a flaps 1 with a flex up there of 66, a pretty big V1 VR split, 134, 151. All right, that's fine. We got that all squared away, and we're aligning 4 minutes. So what we can probably do right now is we can have a look and just see if we've got any faults here. So we're not seeing the ELAC fault here, possibly because it's turned off. So why don't we run this procedure anyways, just pretend that we did see it, because it should come up by now that it's been running. After application maintenance procedure, the following ECAM alerts remain displayed on the EWD. CP tripped right electric bay alert, the CB tripped on overhead panel alert, and the flight control ELAC 1 fault alert. So these should all be active based on the architecture. So Fenix not quite replicating this correctly here. Again, this stuff is more that Fenix has done is more aimed at like an in-flight fault than a an MEL type thing, but we're going to kind of run with it. So check the elevator and the roll spoiler controls through the SEC. So put the aircraft in the test configuration. Yellow pump on. So the yellow pump's got to go on. I hope this. All right. Note if the yellow pump's not available, we don't need to worry about that. PTU switch auto. So the PTU is in auto. The blue electric pump push button switch auto. It's auto, and the blue pump override push button on. So that's up on the maintenance panel. I'm going to do it in 1 second. I'm just because I hate moving this thing out of the way constantly. Just not doing it properly. But ELAC 2 push button switch is on. ELAC 2 is on. Sec 1 push button switch is on. It's on. Sec 2 push button switch is on. Sec 3 push button switch is on, and wait 5 seconds. So we just got to get the blue pump override. So this is a maintenance function here. So it says wait 5 seconds before we perform the check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and a couple for good measure. Check with the elevator control through Sec 1 and the spoilers through the Sec 1 and Sec 3. Alright, so blue pump override push button switch off. Wait for hydraulic circuit depressurization. Oh, it's a big long procedure, isn't this? On the flight control ST page, check that the blue elevator actuator symbol becomes amber. Wait 5 seconds. Put it on again. ELAC 2 off. Sec 2 off. Alright, wow. Alright, so I'm just going to move this over here so I can continue to follow through on this. I'm going to read it out to you guys as I do this here. So what we need to do is just make sure that on the flight control page that our blue things all went amber. So all the blue flight controls are amber. That means it's depressurized. Wait 5 seconds, then the blue pump back on again. So we need to go back up here, put the blue pump override back on. And then ELAC 2 off, Sec 2 off. And then we need to move the captain side stick from right stop to left stop. And from forward stop to aft stop. On the flight control SD page, check the correct movement of the pairs of spoilers 2, 3, and 4 in the full travel of the elevators. Move the FO stick from right to left. So do the same thing with the FO, right to left. You see spoilers. And from aft stop, or sorry, forward stop to aft stop. Either way, basically you need to check for full movement of the elevators. If an expected spoiler elevator movement does not occur, do not attempt any reset contact maintenance. Check if the elevator controls through the Sec 2 and the spoiler controls through Sec 2 and Sec 3. So now we got to go back up top and go ELAC 2 push button switch on, Sec 2 push button switch on, wait 5 seconds, 1, 1000, 2, 1000, 3, 1000, 4, 1000, 5, 1000. Yellow electric pump switch off, wait for hydraulic circuit depressurization. So now we're waiting to see the yellow system come offline, the green and the yellow actually, because the green was just being powered by the PTU. Wait 5 seconds, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, put the yellow pump back on. It's a long, complicated, drawn-out procedure. ELAC 2 push button switch off, Sec 1 off. And then again, perform the flight control check. All the way full right. You see different spoilers are going now because now we're using Sec 1, or sorry, we're using Sec 2. And full forward, or sorry, full back, full forward. And then do the same thing with the FO stick. Right, left, forward, back. And that's the test. So we've made sure that even if most of the computers fail and some of the hydraulic systems fail, we can still move all the flight controls. Return to a normal configuration. Yellow electric pump, off. Blue override pump switch, off. ELAC 1 push button switch, off. ELAC 2 push button switch, on. And Sec 1 on. Check that the DC tie contactor is closed on the electrical SD page. Check the link between DC bus 1 and the DC BAT bus. So DC bus 1 and the DC BAT bus, there is an electrical link there, so that means that the DC bus tie is closed, and that is the end of the procedure. I was just doing it over here so I wouldn't be constantly clicking back on this thing, but that is the procedure. So we've checked all the hydraulic circuits, all the flight control circuits to make sure that even with the ELAC 1 failed, all the rest of the sensors, all the rest of the circuits are still functioning properly and are sending the correct information. You can see the kind of hassle this is. This is not something that you're going to want to be doing a lot. One flight, get back to a maintenance base, and fix the system. All right, so now we can actually get going here. Let me think here. This is our FO Dan. We are slowly boarding. Yep, we are slowly boarding, so that's good. All right, so yeah, I think we've got all that now. We've got the nav accuracy upgrade, so we got the GPS primary. Everything's running there, so one thing we have to do is just initialize our flight through the ACAR system now that we've got the IRSs all initialized. So here we go. SAS 4760, EDDM-ENGM, ENBR 145, and we've also got to get ourselves our secondary, init request secondary. And while I'm at it, the other thing I'm going to do over here as well, because we don't have any ATIS, we don't have any anything online right now in Munich, I'm just going to pull up an METAR here, so 1420. Winds are variable at 2, 6,000 meters, overcast at 300 feet, temperature 0, dew point -1, and QNH 1008. So I'm just going to set that over here, my mini cockpit there, and there's our secondary flight plan. So we'll just have a quick look at it, make sure it kind of compares to our routing here. All right, so input 3 Echo, Yankee 102 to Opala, M726 Lasagna, Lasga, and all the way to ENGM. We're going to go through it more thoroughly, but it looks like it's generally the correct flight plan. So I'm going to insert it now. We're going to go through it more thoroughly in a second. Check takeoff data. Yes, we will. Secondary flight plan uplink. Yes, thank you. All right, so we got everything ready to go. We're going to go through the overhead flow here. ELAC 1 is faulted and is shut off. It should actually have the circuit breaker pulled as well by maintenance per the MEL. If it happened in the previous flight, there's only so much we can do here. All right, we're going to say it's not the first flight of the day, and refueling completed is what GSX tells me right here. And let's just check it out here. I've got 7,800 kilos. My flight plan says 7,800 kilos. Beauty. All right, so we can turn on the pumps, everything. So it's a 320, so we're going to leave the center tank pumps off because at 7,800 kilos they should be empty, and they are. All right. Not the first flight of the day. Oh, I find that always people want a little cooler in an airplane. We're going to go pack one off today for the initial taxi. Strobes are auto, nav lights are on, all the other lights are off. I'm going to put the dome light on because it seems like it's already getting dark here in Europe and we're going to need it. Let's see here. So fueling is done, seatbelts are auto, emergency exit lights are armed, and we got nothing up there. Come on. Wow, she is very chunky with OBS running, and it's not like this when I'm not running streaming. It is really slick and smooth, which is why like this feels like so awkward to me that it's so... I'm not used to it being chunky right now. All right, guidance panel looks good. No flags on the PFD or the ND. We are 1008 is our QNH today for departure. Seatbelts, no smoking, that's fine. Parking brake, TCAS standby, company message, that's all fine for now. We're going to check the company message in a minute. 1204, 1448 matches there, that's good. And let's go down to the pedestal here. Oh, this one. I set up some new views here. Oh, is it not on this airplane? It's on the CFM version. I realized there was something useful I could do, which was to make a second view on button 9. So now button 9 for me on my yoke or my side stick does this, but then it also comes back to the full pedestal, which is kind of a nice pair. And I've been trying to do that more and more, to have multiple things. Chase plane is so great like that. You can have multiple views attached to a shortcut. So like the overhead panel, this is one button to do both of these. The first one goes to the normal overhead panel, which 90% of the time you want to get to, and if you want to get to the aft one, you just tap it a second time. And then tap it a third time, it goes back, and it loops through its two positions. So same with these two here now. You get pedestal or you get an ECAM view, pedestal or ECAM view. So like a limited number of buttons, you can do some really, really useful stuff with it. I really think that Chase plane, some of their decisions have just been absolutely phenomenal. Speaking of which, we got to check the pressurization. 650 sounds okay for Oslo, and status ELAC 1. We know that. Back over here, so we got the thrust levers are at idle, the engines are off, the ignition's normal, rudder trims at 0, parking brakes good, the emergency gear extension stowed. And I'm just going to turn you off because I find that otherwise sometimes this control will override what I've got on my side if it's on. So TARA, and we got just 2000 now for generic code. All right, a quick little check here. We got 1FD2, 1FD2, QNH 1008 indicating 1460, QNH 1008 1460, QNH 1008 1460, and I don't even have charts open right now, do I? Let's open those charts. Why can't I see opening charts? There it is. Ooh, I haven't opened this obviously in the web browser for a while here. Okay, what I really want to know is the field elevation 1460 or thereabouts, 1487. That's very much within reason. All right, and a heading of 0, we'll call it 079, 079, and 079, 079. Perfect. Oops. There we go. All right, so getting into the box quickly here for the aircraft status for the A320-200 V2527 Alpha 5 IAE engines. Database is current until the 24th of December. Merry Christmas, everybody. And performance factor, we're going to do a +0. nothing to D2, nothing is deselected right now on the VORs. Initialization for the flight number today is SAS. I believe we're 40, what are we, 4760? 4760. I'm going to put it on my flight counter here, there. I don't know if I've ever shown you guys this. I think I did. But I 3D printed a little counter here. And I actually use a smaller version in the real airplane because it's just easy this way. You can see clearly, well, there you go. You just have this, I have this actually like a little clamp, and it's just literally attached to the glare shield. And then I just have to glance up there to see what the current flight number is. When you do 3 flights in a day, sometimes you forget what flight you are. So sometimes it's just good you just glance up at the flight number. So a little reference there. All right, in the meantime, anyways, we're supposed to be off the gate at 5 after. I think that's not going to happen at the rate I'm going here, but I'm just going to go to my flight plan here and go cost index is 5, and the initial cruise is at, the only cruise at 380. Wow. Ooh, it's a high cruise today. So cruising 380. Tropical 35-2. So departing Munich, we're going to say runway 08 left, and we're going to say the, what is it? I wonder if you had a cheat sheet for that. Yeah, I mean, it's, I never used to, and then I saw someone actually had made it. It wasn't my idea, it was someone else's idea that I decided to use, and I'm like, this is brilliant. Brilliant for its simplicity. I actually used to have a cheat sheet. I used to actually also have a cheat sheet. I have a little tiny sheet that I make that just has the flight number, the date, minimum fuel on board, minimum fuel for takeoff, passenger counts, a few important critical pieces of information for every flight that I jot on this little form I have. And then what I'll do is I'll attach it right here to this to the little chart holder here in the bus. But unfortunately, the trouble with that is that this iPad that's mounted right here that everyone has blocks off most of that. So I find I often can't see most of that sheet of paper when I just want to glance at it constantly. So it's there. It's very quick and easy to pull out, faster than pulling out the flight plan itself. But yeah. Anywho, back to what we were doing. The arrival, Luna 4 Lima 1 left, and we're just going to go with that for now. Once we get en route, we will check. So ILS 1 left. Where is it? There it is. I saw it. Luna 4 Lima arrival. So we'll go with that for now. And yeah, to check the total distance, 742 miles. The ground distance, 741. Very, very close. I like it. No step climbs. No user-defined waypoints within this routing today. So again, I'm going to slide this over to the other screen while I just go through this and check that everything is in there. So it should be the input 3 departure as far as input, and then Yankee 102 to Apala, M726 to Lasga, then direct MBox, direct Bumil, direct Gimru, direct Sabak, Lima 997 to Lunip, and that's where we join the arrival, the Luna 4 Lima for the ILS. So that all looks like it's in there. That looks good. RadNav auto-tune is fine for this departure. Secondary, we're going to recopy it. And after input, we're going to put an immediate return into Munich. New destination, Munich. We're going to put the ILS to runway 8 left as well. No star required. We're just going to go straight for an ILS through self-vector if it's an emergency, or ATC vectors if it was ATC online. The only thing is I am going to try and put in the actual landing data today, just because it's very low IMC. We might have a hard time spotting the field without it. So 1008, it's 0 degrees. I saw that. The winds are light and variable, so I'm going to leave the winds blank, and I'm just going to pull up the charts again here. If I can pull up my charts here, Navigraph on the other page here, and just really quickly look for the minimums for the ILS. It's one of those things where, because it's pretty close to minimums, it's 300-foot ceiling, 1667. I just want to be able to really quickly activate this and come back to the airport. So this is all threat mitigation. If anything happens on departure, fire or engine failure, we can come back really, really quick. Missed approach is up to 5,000, excuse me, 5,000. So we're going to put the acceleration altitudes in the event of a missed approach 5,000s. And that's all we're going to do for the secondary. In it, Bravo page, taxi fuel 0.2 is reasonable, route reserve 0. We're going to put the alternate fuel from our flight plan here again. Alternate fuel is 1.5. Final reserve is coming in at 0.9. 1.5, 54.9. Not much reserve for final reserve here. And then let's go over here. They should have probably finished boarding by now with all that chatting I'm doing. And, whoa, we got lots of load sheets here. Why did we get... oh, you know why? Because I loaded the wrong flight plan initially. That's why. So compliance with edition number 1, 54.9 by 30.7. So 54.9. I'm just going to put this into my MCDU for a second here. And then, so 54.9, 30.7. So I pop that in there, and the block fuel up here, oops, 7,800. So 7.8 is correct, gives me a takeoff weight of 62.5. And I use 63, so that is going to work just fine. I can probably send all this to the MCDU. And we're going to get there in 1 second. Quick wind check here. So the average wind component today of plus 22. So quick fuel burn and time check. 4.0, $1.50. I got $1.45 and 3.9. That's very close. And extra fuel, we've got, let's see here, 0.4, 0.6. That's about 1. Contingency, another 1.2, 1.4. We're in the right ballpark there. We're very close. So it's very reasonable. I'm going to zero that out and request some actual winds through ACARS. In the real world, you'd move on, but in the sim world, it always happens in about 5 seconds. Blue, blue, and blue for climb, cruise, and descent. And the takeoff performance. Again, let's just make sure it did copy correctly. Runway 08 left. Let's see here. No takeoff shift, flaps 1, and a flex of 66, 34, 51, 52. So 166, 34, 51, 52. So flaps 1, flex 66, 134, 151, 152, 5,000 foot transition altitude 2470, 2470, 2970, 205 the green dot speed. I'll pre-select that for the noise to departure. And then every once in a while, for some reason, this just stops working. I don't know why. All right, cruising at 7.7, that's fine. Prog page says we can make it all the way up to 39. We're planned at 38, optimal at 36. This should match our great circle distance of 711. And our great circle distance is 712. Very good. GPS primary nav accuracy is high, and the IRSs are all currently in nav mode with 0.0 bias. All right, I'm just going to start the APU because we're going to get going here shortly. Come on, APU, start. There we go. All right, and we have no ATC online still to give us a clearance, so just a quick check. Fuel is boarded. It's balanced between both sides. It's recorded. The pumps are on. The belts are on. Load, we've got the finals, and logbook will say is checked. So let's pull up that SID. Let's review the SID, and then we'll do a quick briefing. All right, so SID, there it is. Input 3 Quebec is what we're actually doing off of 8 left. So climb on track 080. So let's see if I can do this in a nice way here where you guys will be able to see this. So I'm going to step through this. All right, so on the flight plan page, so we're climbing 080 to DM84 or 1900, whichever is later. Turn left direct to DM076. I'm sorry, I'm looking at the wrong one here. Climb 080 to DM70 or 1900, whichever is later. Turn left direct DM73 to DM65. And turn right to input. There's a max 250 knots at DM65. You can see listed there. So that all looks good. Max 250 below flight level 100. RSA advised by ATC. RNF1, RNP. 1 GPS required DDI or DDI not authorized. Radar tower frequency till advised to contact Munich radar. SIDs are also minimum noise readings. Simultaneous parallel departures in progress. Pilots have to proceed exactly on extended center line until starting turns as published in departure routes. Perfect. Okay, so we're going to fly it exactly as it's published per the noise abatement. All right. And I think that is Yeah, we're ready for a quick little briefing. Are you ready for the takeoff briefing?
Go ahead.
Okay, so again, technical status of the aircraft. We have the ELAC 1 fault. ELAC 2 is functional. The whole test has been run per the MEL. And yeah, we should be good to go. They're going to fix it, I think, when we get back to Oslo. The let's see here. The NOTAMs, I didn't even look at the NOTAMs. Should have looked at this before we left, but anything interesting here, especially for runways, SIDS? No, nothing that affects us, so nothing on the MEL. So the departure today is the input 3 Quebec departure out of Munich, 10-3 Foxtrot. Speed max 250 below 10,000 or as by ATC. And initial climb clearance 7,000. Alright, you can see 7... Nope, didn't go. There you go. 7,000 feet is set. And the routing constraints are all checked in the box. Noise abatement is follow the SID. The SID is the minimum noise abatement procedure. And engine out procedure is going to be the same. We're going to follow the SID. The MSA for the engine out, 4,000 around this airport. Performance in the box today for the left seat departure off runway 08 left. We're using wet runway numbers right now in case it does start snowing, as it might in the forecast. No takeoff shift. The full length flaps 1 flex to 66, V1 134, VR 151, V2 152, standard transition of 5, or sorry, non-standard transition 5,000. And thrust reduction acceleration at 2470, the engine out acceleration at 2970. 205 the green dot speed pre-selected for the climb for the noise 2 departure. Managed departure, we got climb blue, nav blue, get the autopilot on shortly after departure. This is an RNAV SID, and yeah, probably get the APU bleed on. Quick look at the RadNav page down there. Auto tune is fine. The the fuel prediction says we are up below max landing weight. Immediate return is a non-issue. Secondary has got the immediate return onto runway 8 left here in Munich. Any questions?
No questions.
All right, I'm going to mute him for a second. Okay, so what I'm going to do is we're just going to make sure that my flight tracker is tracking. So does it say, yes, it's all connected, beautiful. So that's all good, and I think we are just about ready for pushback. So let's try this here. Pre-flight checklist. Cockpit preparation checklist.
Gear pins and covers.
Removed.
Fuel quantity.
7.8 tons.
Seat belts.
On.
ADIRS.
Nav.
Barrow ref.
100 QNH 1008. QNH 1008. 1008 set.
1008 set. Cockpit preparation checklist completed.
Alright, I hope he's loud enough for you guys. I might turn up even just a little bit more. Alright, we're going to get back to Unicom here. Goodbye, people. Before start checklist.
Due to icing conditions, please stand by for engine start.
Parking brake.
Push is completed.
Set.
Takeoff speeds and thrust.
V1 134, VR 151, V2 152, flexing 66 degrees.
V1 134, VR 151, V2 152, flex temp 6 degrees. Windows.
Closed.
Beacon.
On.
Before start checklist completed.
Alright, I think we're ready to get underway.
Departure checks completed. Bypass pin inserted.
There is some ATC in northern Germany, but nothing for us right now. Just a Unicom for us. One thing I haven't actually even done really is looked at the taxi charts. I know basic layout. It's just parallel runways that we are between right now. We are parked over
Roger.
here in Echo 1, so it's going to be back out Whiskey 1, and I'm going to say probably
Locking gear.
November. Those are de-icing bays, so then I think just Alpha 1. Is there a taxi chart? It says refer to taxi chart.
Flight controls.
Cancel checklist.
Roger.
I thought I told him to stop listening to me here. Nope.
Release parking brakes, please.
Is he running the checks?
I'm out for the walk around.
Oh, for crying out loud, you're not out for the walk around. He's back. Sometimes FS2 crew. Okay. Alright, so they're ready for brake release. Here goes the brakes.
Commencing push. Due to icing conditions, please stand by for engine start until push is completed and brakes are set.
So this is the kind of thing I would definitely have a discussion with the ramp about, because, like, to me, the ramp looks dry at this point. I mean, yeah, there might be icing conditions. And if the ramp is slippery, sure. But it's to be a conversation we'd have. I do not feel like this is, yeah. I'm not impressed with how much, with what I'm trying to say here, with how much my, performance is being affected here by OBS sometimes. Alright. Anyways, I did put Unicom back up, right? Yeah, because I know there were some people taxiing around earlier. I haven't heard anybody for a few minutes, but I heard people a little while ago. It gets dark early here now. The only trouble with trying to stream daytime for me in Europe is that it's already evening in Europe. It's not even all that late. It's just like, it's what, 1500? It's 3 p.m.? I guess 4 p.m. in Germany, maybe? Wow. I guess it does get dark at 4 p.m. Alright, we're doing what he said. We're waiting. Yeah, this frame rate is just death. And it's OBS. I don't know if it's just because I cranked OBS. I think I might have to play with these settings here. I feel like what I probably did was I turned the resolution up too high. Yeah, oh, I did. Base canvas resolution is way too high. That's what I need to do. I need to probably reduce that base canvas resolution. Yeah, that's what we'll do. Anyways, we're not going to do it this one, but we'll do it for the next one.
Please set parking brakes.
Alright, 1, 2, 3 brakes are set before the pins are moved. And we're starting engines 1 and 2. Alright. I always forget that I'm flying IAE engines until I look down at the engine instruments. I'm like, oh, that's weird. The X's don't disappear on the N2 and the N1 until the engines actually start turning, until they actually measure something. There comes somebody landing.
Unlocking gear.
I always find that a bit weird. Alright, we get 25%, then we get some fuel flow, and it takes a little while. We don't start to see the N1 indication until, there you go, 4.5%.
Bypass pin removed.
Okay, I confirm the nose wheel steering disengage is gone. You revert to hand signals, have a good day.
Right is clear.
Alright, there they go back to their parking. Did I ever put this on dim? I don't think I did. Here, put the annunciator lights on dim. Alright. Looks like we got about 20%. The AGT is stabilizing. Starting engine 2. I'm beginning to realize, I think, what my performance problem was. Unfortunately, you can't change it midstream. I'd have to stop the stream and restart it, so I have to just bear with it for this one, see if that works next time. There comes the ELAC 1 fault. Just going to cancel the caution for now while the engine start completes. But yeah, Fenix did release some information. They said their Neo version is definitely, it's in production, it's doing well, but it's definitely not coming out this year. However, they said that there's a few other things that are coming out. One is that VNAV is a big VNAV work for the current Fenix 320s is in progress. Engine 2 ignition fault, auto crank in progress. Engine 2 start fault. Interesting. Interesting. So now it's doing the auto crank. So you don't touch anything, hands off, let it do its actual thing. It's not bad in the actual stream. Well, that's good, because like, it varies. Like right now it's not bad, but then it'll bog itself down. So the airplane will run an auto crank. Basically, if it started adding fuel and then it never lit off, then there's going to be fuel stuck in the compressor in the combustor region. So now you can see it's falling on its own. I'm not doing anything. What it will do is the FADEX will actually just complete a restart. So they'll run the starter motor without fuel for 30 to 60 seconds. Make sure that all the fuel is cleared out, so you don't get any kind of basically like a backfire, tailpipe fire from excess fuel in the engine compartment that wasn't burned. So it'll run that automatically, and then it'll let it run down, and it'll do a second start all by itself. Oh, no, it won't actually. Engine 2 ignition fault, engine 2 master off. In this case, it doesn't like it, for whatever reason. Engine 2 start fault. Alright, so it did do the auto run, though, so what we're going to do is we are going to go... We're going to try and start it a second time here.
I'm back. No issues on the walk around.
Yes, you are. See if it'll start a second time here, because it's weird. Let's see if we get any igniters here. Let's pay more attention this time. There's ignition A. There's fuel flow. And here comes the EGT. Alright. Must be ignition B faulty. So now we're going to have to call maintenance. Tell them that's what happened. They may ask us to MEL it. Last time I actually did this, they wanted us to go back to the gate. They ran the engine twice to prove that it was faulty. It went to B again, it went to A again, it went to B again, and then with the second start it was faulty, and then they're like, yep, well, MEL it. Okay, now you guys can go. So we started the engine like 4 times at the gate to try and prove that this was faulty. Alright. ELAC 1 is faulty. We know that. We got 2 good engine starts now. We can go ahead and complete off. Alright. And ELAC 1, so we're going to go ahead and clear ELAC 1 and status. So status, we got center tank fuel unusable, Cat 3 single only, ELAC 1, Cat 3 dual, center tank pumps, pack 1. That's all expected with the MEL and our current configuration, so we're going to remove that. And we're going to go ahead and say after start checklist.
Anti-ice.
Engines on. Engine anti-ice on.
ECAM status.
Checked.
Pitch trim.
Zero down set. Blank percent set. Set and checked.
Rudder trim.
Neutral.
After start checklist completed.
Clear left side.
Clear right side.
Munich traffic, Scandinavian 4760,
Takeoff
taxi
runway.
for departure runway 08 left
Takeoff
via
runway
Whiskey
confirmed.
1, November, Alpha 1.
Approach path clear of traffic.
Cancel
Cabin crew be
checklist.
seated for takeoff.
Hi, the security and safety check are all done. Are we good to start boarding?
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome on board today. As you locate your assigned seat,
My FS2 crew got stuck
smaller
there
items
and
under
thought
the
it was
seat
still
inside provide more room for
in the
larger
pre-flight
items
base.
in our overhead compartment. If you need assistance,
Alright,
contact the flight attendant. If you are unable to accommodate
we're going to do a
any
brake
item in the
check.
cabin,
I gotta
please
say it out
proceed to
loud,
the
I guess.
boarding door and
Brake
we will
check.
check it for you. Also review the safety instruction
Pressure
card
0.
in your seat pocket.
Thank you.
If you are
Alright, we'll do
seated
the
at
flight
an
control
exit
check when we get to the
seat,
taxiway
also
because we
review
just,
the exit seating criteria.
got to be careful when you're on an apron. You never know where people are going to come from, vehicles especially, people. I imagine Europe is much more disciplined than America. And it's not a given thing in America, but there's a general thing in America where just like the important thing is to get the job done. And getting the job done is important. But safety does not... You can't give up safety just to get the job done. And that seems to be a thing in America, is that we don't care about the safety, we'll just get the job done. That's the important thing. We'll pretend to be safe. And it's a real culture problem. It's not compatible with aviation in most of the rest of the world. Is this North American attitude, and from what I've been told, it can get really bad, like non-standard phraseology, like outside of the U.S. I won't say that because Canada can be bad for it, but outside of North America, non-standard phraseology in ATC is just not accepted. Just period, just is not accepted. But the Americans try to push it on everybody anyways, try to be cute and try to be non-standard. It's just like, just use the standard phrases. They exist for a reason. The guy you're talking to is probably not English. English is probably not his first language. Standard phrases means everyone understands what's going on. And it's just, it's a weird little hilltop there. Is that real? Could be. Yeah, it can be very frustrating to hear that. It's like, yeah, we know you guys know what you're doing and know how to speak English, but standard phraseology exists for a reason. Alright, so it's going to be a left turn here on November. We would talk to ATC if there was any, but there is none. I looked like a minute ago and there was still nobody, maybe 2 minutes ago, so hopefully I'll get forgiveness if anybody does. I'm not hearing anybody talking on frequency anymore. I was hearing some people before. Let me just check my sound settings on the Unicom here. The other thing I gotta do is turn this up. There we go. Because that is linked to vPilot. I kind of like that, but at the same time, you gotta remember to turn it up again.
Traffic.
Alright. Traffic is just rolling down the runway, so that's fine. Okay. Now we're pretty easy straight shot here, so now we can do this. Flight control check.
Ready. Full up. Full down. Neutral. Full left. Full right. Neutral. Full left. Full right. Neutral.
Taxi checklist.
Flight controls.
Checked.
Checked. Flap setting.
Config 1+F.
Config 1+F. Radar and predictive wind shear system.
On and auto. On and auto.
Engine mode selector.
Normal.
ECAM memo.
Takeoff no blue.
Taxi checklist completed.
Once again, ladies and gentlemen, welcome on board our flight today. This is the lead flight attendant speaking. Please direct your attention
Alright,
to
one
cabin
quick
crew
check
for
here,
important
just to make sure this
safety
has tracking us.
There is an instruction
Taxi out,
card
because the
in
one
your
day
seat
it didn't.
pocket that illustrates the safety
and that was annoying. I terminated that stream when I realized 40 minutes into the stream it wasn't tracking what we were doing. I just said, not worth. It's not that it's not worth it, but just like I didn't have the heart to try and start it again. Because the only way to get it to go again was to start it again. Alright, nobody on the approach path, nobody indicating on the TCAS. Unit traffic, Scandinavian 4760, take position, runway 08 left. Runway entry procedure. Runway entry procedure.
Takeoff runway confirmed. Approach path clear of traffic. Cabin crew be seated for takeoff.
Lineup checklist.
If there is a loss of cabin pressure, a panel will open.
Takeoff runway.
Remain seated with your seatbelt fastened.
08 left confirmed.
Checked. TCAS.
Oxygen will be flowing to the mask.
TARA.
Packs 1 and 2.
Cover your nose and mouth
On.
with the mask.
Lineup checklist
Place the
completed.
elastic band around your head and tighten by pulling on the end. Secure your own mask before assisting others. Your seat bottom cushion may be used as a flotation device.
Alright, here we go.
Pull up and remove the cushion.
Takeoff.
Upon
Check.
exiting the aircraft,
Unit traffic, Scandinavian 4760, rolling, runway 08 left.
located on the back.
Munich traffic to Center 4175, sending passenger flight level 82, sending 5,000.
Manflex 66, SRS runway, auto thrust blue.
Checked. Thrust set. .100 knots.
Roger.
V1. Rotate. Positive climb.
Gear up.
Gear up.
Nav. Autopilot 1. And you can put the autopilot on pretty quickly in an Airbus. The limitation for departure is 100 feet and 5 seconds after liftoff. Climb, alt blue. Thrust climb, auto thrust. Flaps 0.
Speed checked. Flaps 0.
Speed managed. Unit traffic, Scandinavian 4760, climbing through 4,000 feet, departed 08 left, left turn, out final call, Munich. Flight level 380 set. Alright, and we're off. Looks like we're out of that initial layer. Don't see anything on the probe, but we can take the anti-ice off. And away we go. And there is transition.
Standard cross-checked. Passing flight level 064. Now.
Checked. Alright, and we're underway. Woo! Need a little coffee to recharge myself. It's sad that it's getting dark already, and I think I might have to deal with some time shifts in the future. I don't know how you guys feel about it, but it's not terrible, but it's dark. It's just dark. And as impressive as this is, and this flight deck does look pretty impressive in the dark, and the sunset really is quite beautiful. It's a beautiful color over there. I do have to say, like, I love the sunsets that MSFS, that Asobo designed here. Like, they are just absolutely stunning. And if I was smart, what I'll do is I'll do this. Ooh, there you go. Here's some nice, I'll get rid of myself for a second here too, hold on. Get rid of that. There's some nice views for the potential title card anyways there. Really nice. The sun is coming up as we go because of just the speed with which we're climbing, the angle it's creating. But or can we do it this way and you get it like a beautiful color? Well, that's also kind of nice too. Anywho, there's 11.4. We haven't reached our 250 knots, but 11.5. Climbing flight level 380. And looks like you already did lights off. We're gonna go belts off. And let's just recheck this stuff here. So rad nav should still be auto tuning. Secondary, we made it out of here safely. We're gonna recopy it with the active now. Sync it up. And the prog page says we're still good up to a max of 39. 38 could be a little tight, but we'll try it. And yeah, let's see here. Cabin is pressurizing. We've got the card frequency up on number 2. We're listening. And let's see here. Fuel is let's see here, U670 started to 7.8. Yeah, that's pretty reasonable. All right, good. And we're underway, everybody, on our pilot's life career here on our way to Oslo, an airport I have not been to before, I don't believe. So this will be a little bit of a new adventure. But this is kind of the nice thing, and this is what I'm really liking about Scandinavian, is just the fact that it's a different. It's a bunch of different hub airports. So it's a different hub airport. I won't say every single time, but it's 3 different major hubs: Oslo, Copenhagen, and Stockholm. So chances are we're not going to see the same airport every second leg. We'll see the hubs more than a couple times here for sure, but we won't see them every single leg. Almost every other European airline is based at a single airport, with the exception of like EasyJet and Ryanair, which have multiple hubs, and then you can probably get away with it. So I might consider a season of EasyJet for the same kind of deal, just like multiple hubs gives you the most route interest. Otherwise, yeah. All right, I'm just going to do this here. I'm going to throw myself up there. Yeah, otherwise, what am I trying to say here? Like the... I feel like I would get very bored with it if I was doing the same airport every second leg.
4 miles, 08 right.
So I'm going to be doing my best to kind of keep myself, keep airlines that allow more than one hub. It's gonna allow more than just out and back, out and back, out and back, out and back. And this, I think, is going to be one of the big problems. So I still have not picked it up, and I was looking at this. What's that new pilot life career simulator called? Now I can't think of it. Fly the Line. And this was my big problem with kind of Fly the Line when it released, and we kind of and people kind of looked at it a little bit. Was it's all out and back flying. You pick a hub, and it is constantly out and back from that hub. And this right here, it shows you exactly what it is. So you really better love that hub airport you're flying at, because that hub airport, you're out, you're back, you're out, you're back, you're out, you're back, you're out, you're back, you're out, you're back. Every second leg's gonna be landing at that airport, and that's realistic in a way. A lot of airlines do function that way, but as a simmer, as a streamer trying to gain some interest, I just feel like the out and back model, it's just not as interesting. I love a route when it's not just out and back, but it's like I go somewhere, but then I end up with a third airport somewhere along the way. You know, and even if you were to do, like, say, you know, Munich to Oslo, but then Oslo to Copenhagen, then Copenhagen, that's what, like, I liked this pilot's life career we had going this time. I thought it was kind of a nice little thing, like what we've done so far in the logbook. Again, we've hit a couple of airports multiple times, but we've hit Copenhagen twice, and we're going to hit Heathrow again, but it's been a lot of variety. We did Stockholm, Milan, Copenhagen, Copenhagen to London, back to Copenhagen, Copenhagen to Munich, and now Munich, we're going up to Oslo. From Oslo, I think we go to London next, and we go back to London again. But it's like, it's not just out and back. There is There's different legs, there's different airports, so I kind of like it because then when we come back from London, again, we go to Copenhagen. So we've done that leg before, but then Copenhagen, we're going down to, like, you will see the same airports again and again. There's no doubt about that. You will see the same airports again and again when you have a hub airport. That's just the way life is. Your airline operates to and from that airport a lot. But airlines that take that and just give something different. Triangles. And this is where the American airlines are really great for that because they have large networks with multiple hubs across the country, in different regions of the country. A lot of the European airlines are based in solely one country, so there's only one major airport in that country, there's only one hub. Yeah, it makes it, I just think it's going to make it very tedious very quickly. So, anyways, yeah. What we're talking about here, we had that AD. Yeah, we talked about the AD with the Airbus Airworthiness Directive, which there are not a whole lot of emergency airworthiness directives issued by Airbus. It's pretty rare, in all honesty. They've done pretty well for themselves. They've had a few issues over the years, but like, yeah, Boeing has been kind of the poster child for like what not to do in the aviation industry lately, and you know, much as I have a lot of respect for Airbus, it's unfortunate that this slipped out somehow past their quality control. They have been pretty quick, and unfortunately for them, this is going to be pretty quickly forgotten because it's a pretty quick and easy fix. It's a software rollback is all it is. There's a very small handful of airplanes that will need a hardware change, but the number is very small. The vast majority of this update will be done just simply as a software update or a software rollback. And will take about 30 minutes per airplane when you get it in the hangar. You don't even necessarily need to probably get it in the hangar. You can probably do it at the gate if you bring the computer to the gate and plug into the software at the gate. You don't even need to get the airplane in the hangar to do this. So to update the whole frequency, make sure that the whole fleet, make sure that everything's working properly. It's not going to take much time. It's not going to take much time at all. So Airbus is kind of lucky on this one. It's a pretty minor, it's a serious thing. Anything that happens with the flight control computers is a pretty serious thing, but in terms of the mitigation, in terms of the resolution, it's a very short, quick, easy fix. It's not taking much time to do, which is, like I said, it's very fortunate for Airbus, so I think people are mostly going to forget it. A little bit of bad timing happening just before the holiday weekend in America. That being said, I think most of the airlines got most of their buses, softwares, updates done very quickly, and were able to get these airplanes up and flying again very quickly. So the impact was probably pretty minimal, 1 to 2 days of noticeable impact, and beyond that, there probably was not much noticeable impact. So Airbus kind of lucked out, not like Boeing has done lately with their fleet groundings and airworthiness directives and everything. That it's been a different story for Boeing the last the last 5 to 10 years, to say the least. Almost 10 years now since I think the first. It's been about, what, 7 years, I think, since the MAX grounding started? 7 years? 6 years? I can't remember exactly what year, but it's been a long time. And that it's been problematic for Boeing. They have not fared as well as Airbus has. But it goes to show you that the priority is the safe functioning of the industry and the aircraft as a whole. So yeah, not an ideal situation, but yeah. I guess there was the other incident that's happened since I last streamed that we haven't talked about. Actually, before I even go into that, the one thing that is kind of interesting too is the whole ELAC 2 architecture here. And I'm not sure if I can find this here or not, but let's see here if I can find this. So let's see if I can find something that's going to help you guys. So anyways, what I was talking about with the ELAC. So yeah, ELAC 1 you can MEL on an Airbus. ELAC 2 you cannot. On an A320 you cannot MEL ELAC 2, and there's a very important reason for that. If I can find the right diagram, it actually makes it quite easy to explain it. Yeah. I think this one. This study aid right here. Oh, where'd it go? It was here. Yeah, this one right here. All right, because it's kind of interesting, and it's a little bit in depth to try and understand, but there is... Oh, and you guys can't see that there. Now you can see that. It has to do with the redundancy of the system and the hydraulic system architecture. And someone actually wrote this, and it's pretty apt, is that anytime you see in the Airbus MEL list, multiple things cannot be MEL'd. If you can MEL one but not the other of a redundant system, LGCIU 2 but not LGCIU 1, or ELAC 1 but not ELAC 2, there's usually a reason, and it usually has to do with the emergency electrical configuration, is what it comes down to. If the aircraft goes into emergency electrical configuration, all generated power is lost, at least temporarily. There needs to be enough systems still running. So to even go further into that, if you look at the electrical system here, oh, wrong, what am I trying to do here? This is what I'm trying to do here. The electrical system, the essential buses, the AC essential and the DC essential buses are the two buses that remain powered in an electrical emergency, and they are powered by, they can even be powered directly by the batteries. So there is an inverter that will actually power the DC essential bus and will also power the AC essential bus. So if you lose generator 1, generator 2, APU, you don't have any AC generators working, you'll lose AC1, DC1, AC2, DC2. You'll lose both sides, but the center stuff keeps running. The AC essential bus, the DC essential bus keeps running. They'll run on batteries for a limited period of time until the RAT deploys. The emergency generator is powered by the RAT. When the RAT deploys, it pressurizes the blue hydraulic system. With the blue hydraulic system pressurizes the emergency generator, turns the emergency generator, and gives you emergency power to AC essential and DC essential buses if you lose all the rest of the generators. So these are the essential, they are the essential buses, hence they're named essential buses. These, the idea is in an electrical emergency, these are the buses that still run. Everything else gets shed. But these things can be carried on by even the batteries for a reasonable period of time, and then the emergency generator, which doesn't generate a whole lot of power, but it generates enough. And so whatever's on these buses will keep the aircraft flying. And the easiest way to kind of know what's on the essential buses is to look up. If you look up here, well, it's terrible, you can't see that, but let me do this. There we go. If you look up here, the upper circuit breaker panel here, you'll see it's all number 1 systems pretty much. This is the emergency generator. This is the essential bus. These are the essential buses. Everything that's in the back of the airplane, on the back wall here, these are on the AC, DC buses, etc. These are all the other buses, but everything that's on the essential buses basically is on the overhead panel. So it's within easy reach of the flying pilots without even standing up. But generally one of everything. So you get like VHF1, RMP1, ATC1, MMR1, VOR1, DME1, pitot heat number 1, AOA heat number 1, MCDU1, FMGC1, FCU1, all the number 1 stuff on the essential buses. This is all up here on these on this circuit breaker panel, on the upper circuit breaker panel. So that's the stuff that'll keep running in an emergency. So a lot of this stuff where you can only have one MEL, it's because you can MEL the number 2 because in an electrical emergency you wouldn't use it anyways. But the idea is if you have an electrical emergency, you have to have the number 1 stuff running. So then the interesting thing is then, well, but then you say, well, why is ELAC 1? Why can ELAC 1 be offline and not ELAC 2? And that again goes back to the architecture of the system here. It does have to do with the electrical emergency configuration. So all the different actuators of the flight controls, the spoilers, the ailerons, slats, hydraulic systems, everything's hydraulically actuated, but it's controlled by usually two different computers, or oftentimes each actuator is controlled by one computer. So if you were to lose ELAC, if you lose ELAC 1, you're going to lose half the elevator actuators. You're going to lose the blue system actuators on the left-right elevators, and that's the secret right there. In an electrical emergency, even if the engine's still running but you lose all your generated power, you're going to still have green and yellow hydraulic power, but you're going to lose blue hydraulic power in the electrical emergency until the RAT deploys. For the 5, 10, 15 seconds it takes for the RAT to release, deploy, come up to speed, and start generating hydraulic pressure, you're not going to have any pressure in the blue system, because normally the blue system is pressurized by an electric pump. But that electric pump goes offline when you have an electrical emergency, when you lose all your generator power until the RAT comes online as a secondary way of powering the blue system. If you have no ELAC 1 and you have an electrical emergency, you're going to lose all the blue hydraulic pressure, and at the same time, you have no ELAC 1, that's not going to be a problem. But if you have no ELAC 2, sorry, this is why you can't MEL ELAC 2. It's because if you lose the blue system, and you also have no ELAC 2, you have no elevator controls. ELAC 1 only pressurizes the blue system flight controls. ELAC 2 pressurizes the green and the yellow system. If you had no number 2, even though the green and the yellow system have pressure because the engines are still turning, in the electrical emergency, because you have ELAC 2, these ones are not being powered because the ELAC 2 is off. Even not the electrical emergency, but the whole time, these actuators are not being powered because ELAC 2 is offline. So the blue system would be the only thing left powering the elevators, and you lose the blue system during the electrical emergency. So for that reason, we have to make sure that ELAC 2 stays online, so the green and the yellow are always online, and that's the basic reason why. So I know that was a terrible explanation. I'm really really sorry, because I got ELAC 2 and 1 mixed up. But you cannot have ELAC 2 offline, because if you have ELAC 2 offline, you can't control the elevators with the green and yellow system. You can only control the elevators with the blue system. And if you have the electrical emergency and the blue system goes offline, even temporarily, you lose elevator control of the aircraft. So that's the reason why the only ELAC you can defer is ELAC 1, which is the blue system, which would go offline during that electrical emergency anyways. Green and yellow, number 2, always has to be running. And yeah, it all comes down to that redundancy, and most often the electrical emergency configuration redundancy. What's going to happen in the electrical emergency configuration? You know, what's going to be powered? What's going to be lost? What are we still going to have available to keep the airplane flying? It's pretty rare condition. It's not something that's going to come up very often by any means, but it is not an impossible case. And it's just a question of making sure that there's always something. When you're flying a fly-by-wire airplane, electrical power is essential. When you're flying a Piper Cub, you don't have electric power, nobody cares. But when you're flying a fly-by-wire airplane, you need to have electrical power to some of the systems. And you need to think about which systems are getting electrical power, and you know, what's essential to keep the airplane flying. If you ever get a chance in the Fenix, run the electrical emergency. Turn off generator 1, turn off generator 2, or fail generator 1 and fail generator 2, and see what that's like, because it's a pretty interesting situation. Anyways, let's see here. There's our ATP right there. Just a quick ATC check. I know we had some centers online. Oh, now I can see a lot of centers online. So let's just have a quick little VATSIM radar check as well, and just see what's going on, because I don't want to be accused of trolling through somebody's airspace without talking to them. EDDM-ENGM. So where am I? That's my first question. Where am I? There I am. And am I going to fly through this guy's airspace? I don't think I'm actually going to fly through his airspace. Oh no, I think I will eventually after... is it Bumil? Bumil. So I think at Bumil I'm going to enter this guy's airspace, so we'll give him a call approaching that point. At that point we should be thinking about setting up for arrival anyways. So the other interesting, frightening, shocking incident that happened, I guess it was probably about 3 weeks ago now, and it's kind of faded out of the news a little bit, but I'm interested to see what comes of it, is, of course, the, let's see here, the crash of, what was it? It was, I've forgotten the flight number now. UPS flight 2976, that was it, 2976. You heard it 100,000 times, and yet, you know, forget it now already, but 2976 on departure out of Louisville, which was a a shockingly disappointing crash, and it'll be interesting to see what transpires, because the fallout from this has been quite substantial in its width and breadth, and is probably having a pretty big impact on the cargo airlines. So it started out with the DC-10, or started out with the MD-11, and then it also went to include the DC-10s as well. So a large portion of the tri-jet cargo fleet that has been flying for some time and keeping FedEx and UPS in business for quite a while suddenly has all been grounded because they're not sure what's going on here. It bears a striking resemblance to the American Airlines crash that happened. Trying to think what the other Chicago crash was. I can't think of what it was now, but it bears a striking resemblance to that crash in a lot of ways. And one of the investigators said, like, when you show up, you don't want to come in with any preconceived biases, any preconceived notions. You want to approach every accident cleanly and say, where does the evidence lead? You don't want to come in and say, we think it's this again, and just follow that endlessly, pointlessly, because that'll set you up for a bias. You will immediately only look for evidence that supports your theory going in. So you have to start with nothing, forget everything you've ever heard about previous accidents, and just start to follow the evidence and see where the evidence takes you. But the immediate reaction, certainly as a member of the public, is that this looks a lot like the other, like the DC-10 that had the engine fall off leaving Chicago. And the initial investigation is saying there's a striking number of similarities. The engine did come off, the left engine did come off the airplane and ended up on the right side of the airplane, but the left engine came off, and it came off with a very similar mechanism to what happened to the DC-10 in Chicago, where the aft pylon attach point broke, and that's what appears to be what started the crash, most likely, because the engine rotated right up over the right up over the wing, and the pictures are just to see it is just a little shocking, unfortunately. But just to see the where is it here? I just want to see the picture. Yeah, show me the picture. There it is. That's what I want. That's what I want to see here. It's just a picture. The accident sequence here, and you can see the engine is obviously initially pivoting around the front of the wing before it detaches, which is of course what causes the fire. And it actually, it's still turning and generating an immense amount of thrust at this point. It just simply catapults itself right over the airplane and lands on the far side of it. You can see it. You just follow the smoke trail. You can see it coming down on the far side of the engine here, while the wing begins to burn because fuel is now pouring out of this hole where the pylon used to be. Whether or not the number 2 engine, failed or not is, I think they still haven't figured out whether or not that failed as part of the accident sequence. It probably did, though. When you get that flying right over the airplane, tossing who knows what debris into that center engine, and at that point they were, unfortunately, the flight was doomed at that point. There's nothing they could have done. It was way too fast. It was past the rotation point, way too fast to be considering a rejection and landing the airplane straight ahead, but the airplane was also at that point not flyable. Very unfortunate position to be in, because there's nothing you can do. But yeah, it's amazing to kind of look at the amount of rotational force on that engine that carried it over to that far side of the runway. It was still turning at that point in time when it detached. Now, whether it had failed catastrophically that triggered the pylon, or whether the pylon failure was the precipitating factor, it's way too similar. Way too similar with these aft lugs where the engine attaches to the pylon. This would be what was attached to the wing. This is attached to the pylon, and you can see the parts broke cleanly right here. Whether something happened to cause a vibration. American 191, thank you very much, by the way. yeah, it just the similarities are uncanny, and hence the reason why the entire fleet has been grounded while they try to figure out if this is if there's any other airplane that this could potentially happen to. Whether or not these airplanes will fly again is an interesting question in of itself. Like, is this a, because it's been a very long time. What year was American 191? Like, that was, I want to say mid-80s, maybe 90s? Now you're going to make me look it up quickly here, but 1979. 1979. So that was 46 years ago. That's a long time between crashes. This is not like Boeing, where this is not like the MAX, where we had 2 crashes like a month apart. This is 46 years. That's a long time to even begin to say, like, is this the same accident? The fact that these airplanes are still flying are the same type of airplane, and the MD-11 is not the same as the DC-10, but a lot of the design that went into the MD-11 was similar to the DC-10, was derived from the DC-10, and it's an offshoot of that. So as far as I can tell, the pylon mounting structures are extremely similar. So that's why they're looking at, they've frozen the entire MD-11 and DC-10 fleets and said, you know what? If this is a structural weak point with this aircraft, with this one aft pylon mounting point, maybe we need to look at this. So it's unfortunate. It's terribly unfortunate, because once that engine came off, that airplane, the way it came off that airplane was unflyable. There was nothing that crew could do. They had no idea what had happened, I don't think. I really don't think they had any idea. They probably had the engine fire indication. They did not know when that, I mean, the airplane only went for another 30 seconds, but they did not know that engine had come off that airplane. They had no idea. It's very unfortunate. It you know, you'd like to think that as a pilot, like, you always have a chance to do something. Yeah, and I mean, I watched the Blanco Lirio channel as well, so that's where I've got a lot of my information, because I think he does great explanations. So he said, yeah, I mean, absolutely, the first one, if you go and you watch the Mayday episode on American 191, they do a very in-depth explanation of exactly what happened to that airplane. The pylon mount was damaged because of maintenance, because what Boeing said was, when you need to change the engine, what you need to do is remove the engine from the pylon and on a forklift, and then and pull it off the airplane that way. But the engine is attached to the pylon with like about 200 something screws and mounting and screws and bolts and everything, whereas the pylon is only 3 attach points. So what all the airlines decided was that instead of removing the engine from the pylon, we'll just remove the whole pylon from the wing, because there's only 3 attach points. But the unfortunate thing is that the precision that you need to then Boeing never designed it that way. So the precision you need to mount the pylon onto the wing is such that you need to be able to manipulate it very carefully, but in order to get an engine and a pylon together up onto the wing, it's such a heavy piece of machinery combined that you cannot move it into position with the precision necessary. And so what happened was, you know, there's the piece of the pylon that you slot up into the wing, but because it's this giant, you know, 5-ton engine, trying to move it and get it perfectly into the slot was very hard. So what they ended up doing was, of course, at some point during the maintenance, they were trying to put it back on, and they accidentally hit the mounting point instead of getting it up through the slot, and then they slide a pin through it to hold it in place. But you got to get it up in that slot perfectly. That's what happened with the DC-10. Was they had damaged this. They had damaged the mount point during maintenance when they were trying to slide that engine back into place, because they were doing a non-approved piece maintenance method that all the airlines talked about and had come up with. Boeing didn't know that they were doing this. When Boeing found out, they're like, we told you not to do it that way. That was not the way we designed it to be maintained. And yeah, it saves you a lot of time and effort, but we didn't design those things to be put back together that way. So yeah, that one was damaged with maintenance. This one was potentially a fatigue crack. But regardless of the source, the fact that it's happened twice, it does speak to, is this a weak point in the whole system as a whole? In the mounting point, there's not enough redundancy in the mount points of this pylon. So it may not be the same exact cause, but regardless of what causes that stress, whether it be fatigue over time or an impact from an improper procedure, is this a problem that is going to be fleet-wide, and potentially could this be the death of the MD-11 and the DC-10? Unless they can come up with a fix, and maybe they can come up with a fix, but it's an important piece. It's a heavy piece. Like, you would have to redesign the pylon and the wing mounting structure and the way the loads are carried into the wing. It's not impossible to redesign, but also with a fleet of this age, is it worth the effort? Boeing might just say, you know what? We wash our hands of it. We're done. We're not going to maintain this fleet anymore. It would be a big step for them to do, and they'd get a lot of blowback from the owners. But it's not unprecedented. Maybe in the airliner industry, but it's not unprecedented. Not unprecedented. You look at the Beechcraft Starship. That was a beautiful airplane designed by Burt Rutan. That was very unconventional. Composite fuselage. It was one of the first composite airplanes, I think, to be built of any major size. And the reason you don't see any of them anymore is because Beechcraft realized after something like about a decade is that they hadn't sold enough of them to offset the development costs and also the future maintenance costs. And Beechcraft did some calculations, and they realized that the cheapest way to solve their liability on this aircraft, on the future maintenance of this aircraft, was to simply buy them all back and destroy them. And that's what they did. I think there might be one or two Beechcraft Starships left that avoided the scrap heap. But Beechcraft realized that because they'd sold such a small number, it was cheaper to just buy back all the airplanes, destroy them, and thereby cancel their future maintenance requirements, and not just the maintenance, but like the the development of maintenance procedures and airworthiness directives. Continuing maintenance, maintaining parts, and all that. Let's see here. I'll go to my Wikipedia as always, and it was a beautiful airplane too. Like, it was absolutely phenomenal. 55 aircraft were built. First flew in 1983, 1995, so 12 years later. Yeah, 2003, Beechcraft said that supporting such a small fleet of airplanes was cost prohibitive and began scrapping and incinerating the aircraft under its control. So they tried their best to buy them back. I'm pretty sure they didn't buy them all back. There were some people that absolutely loved them and said, we want to keep them. There's 9 active Starships in the FAA registration out of 55, but Beechcraft bought back as many as they could and destroyed them so that they would not have to worry about potentially researching airworthiness directives and any kind of aging aircraft fleet. So is this the end of the DC-10 and the MD-11? It would be very hard to do that on that scale, I think. It's not impossible. Never impossible. Challenging, though, I think, to do it on the kind of scale you're talking about here, where you're buying back such a large number of airplanes. I wonder if it would look better if I turn the dome light off, and then you can see, because if I turn that, isn't that interesting? If I turn the dome light on, you don't see as much outside. But if I turn the dome light off, then it tries to compensate a little bit more, and you see a little bit more outside. You see a little more contrast outside as the sun goes down. It's going to be very interesting to see what the outcome of that investigation is, and if Boeing ever allows those airplanes to fly again. Because Boeing basically issued the Emergency Airworthiness Directive that basically said that those planes are grounded until compliance action is taken. But in that Airworthiness Directive, no compliance action was published. So unless it's amended to include compliance action in the future, those airplanes will never fly again. And they could, and it's not uncommon for that to happen, where they immediately stop the airplanes without knowing what the fix is going to be, and then when the fix is published, then we revise it. But if the fix becomes too expensive, it might just not happen. But on the other side of that, again, FedEx and UPS are 2 very big Boeing customers with some pretty sizable fleets and deep pockets. The last thing Boeing needs is some lawsuits from UPS and FedEx for airplanes they can't fly anymore. And not just that, but think about the fact that right now we are in a airframe shortage in the airliner industry like there has never been before. The backlog at Airbus, I think, is 8 years now. If FedEx and FedEx and UPS were to order new cargo airplanes tomorrow, they would not get them delivered until 2033, I think is the... And I mean, that's the A320 backlog. But it kind of speaks to what the backlog is right now. The current A320 backlog is 7,000 aircraft. I don't even know what freighters you would buy. Like, it's such a... you know, the DC-10, the MD-11, there's kind of nothing of a comparable size right now. You either kind of go... I mean, maybe... I don't know, like an A350 freighter or a Boeing 787 freighter. But even that... right now, even the backlog on 87s is over 1,000 units. I'm not saying you would build a freighter directly out of that, but like most of the time, freighters end up being built out of former airliners that are no longer flying for the airliners. But if the airliners that are flying for the if the airlines can't get enough airplanes coming in, new airplanes coming in to replace their existing fleets and deal with fleet growth and everything, then where's the source of... where's the source of 2632? Got a ping. 26325. You know, where's the source of future freighters? Most of the time, freighters are not new builds. They can be, but most of the time they're not new builds. Usually they're retrofits of passenger aircraft that are approaching the end of their life as a passenger aircraft. But if airlines are holding on to their passenger aircraft longer because they can't buy new ones fast enough, because Boeing and Airbus can't make them fast enough, then what's, you know, where do we get these freighters from? There's not enough airframes out there, I think, for FedEx and Boeing to be on this. What is EDDW?
Station 5 is occupied for 62 Whiskey Echo.
It's Bremen.
Yeah, easy 62 Whiskey Echo, I see it. You can taxi position 6 Alpha. 6 Alpha, 62 Whiskey Echo.
Bremen radar, good evening. Scandinavian 4760, flight level 380.
Scandinavian 4760, Bremen, hello, squawk 7277.
Squawk 7277, Scandinavian 4760. Has FlightSim ground at the MD-11? No, they have not.
4760 identified.
Danke. No, they have not. You know, fortunately, it's, you know, safety is not an issue when you're flying in FlightSim. I mean, you know, you try to fly it safely, but certainly we don't need to ground the fleet if there's a potential crack. So technically, it can still be flown game. Yes, absolutely. That's one of the nice things about flight simulators. You can do all sorts of things that you couldn't do in the real world. You can fly airplanes in ways that you could never do in the real world. You can fly airplanes that don't exist in the real world. Flight simulators got some fantastic examples of that. They've got they got Howard Hughes' airplane, whatever the stupid giant flying boat was that he had. I can't think of what it's called right now, but you can fly that. You can fly to airports that don't exist anymore, so you can fly the Kai-Tak heart attack approach if you want to. Look at my wind here, that's weird. That was a weird wind calculation there for a moment. You can go to Kai-Tak and fly that. You can go fly to Chicago Meigs Field. You can fly to any number of old airports that are no longer in use. You can fly warplanes. You can fly the Top Gun airplanes if you want to. Like, yeah, that's kind of the nice thing about flight simulators. You can go back and you can fly the current. You can fly history. You can fly that DC-6 around. You can fly the Douglas DC-3. You can fly the Mad Dog around, the MD-11. You can fly the old stuff. Concorde. Yes, absolutely. You can go fly the Concorde. You can't fly that in real life anymore, but you can fly Concorde. You can fly Concorde around in Flight Simulator. Just no space shuttle. Wouldn't surprise me if you could do that eventually too, though. That's part of the fun. Like, a lot of people strive for realism, and I'm striving for realism. The nice thing is that Flight Simulator is a platform that lets you choose how you want to experience the flight sim. So if you want to fly realistically, straight and level, place to place, transporting passengers, you can do that. You want to do some barnstorming, you want to do air races, you want to fly a fighter jet, whatever you want to do. You want to fly current, present time, or do you want to fly some historical routes with historical aircraft? Whatever you want to do. Maximum Gamer 97, are you a commercial airline pilot? Yes, I try to partake. I try to pass along some of my knowledge in this industry through this, but it's also a chance for me to have some fun. I don't live in Europe. I don't fly in Europe, so this is a chance for me to experience something that I don't do. So it's absolutely a chance to do some things. Plus, I can also the things you can do with this. It's an incredible. It can be an incredible training tool as well. I have an A320 type rating. I spent hundreds of hours, probably. I must have spent hundreds of hours flying this Fenix A320 during my type rating training, and it was immeasurably helpful. I could learn the normal procedures with the correct layout of the flight deck and press every switch, and every switch would do exactly what it was supposed to do in this flight deck. I could trigger any number of emergencies and follow them through to their conclusion, not just like think them through, but like follow them through.
Victor Alpha information India, passing 250, descending 110.
Sorry, I'm just trying to listen to ATC. I was able to do so much training and so much practice thanks to having this software that when I actually got in the simulator, procedure-wise, I knew what to do. I could get through the procedures really quick, like, and most of the people in my class were shocked at how fast I could get through the procedures, and not because I'm doing them fast, but because I'd already learned them so well that I was able to do them very quickly. I was able to get through these things very quickly. Are the procedures exact? The thing is that, like, the procedures you fly when you're flying an airplane, like every airline has its own separate set of procedures, which are often a little bit different from the manufacturers. They're usually little tweaks that every airline applies, basically to kind of fix problems that they think they found, or just things that kind of work for their airline for whatever reason. But yeah, they like in terms of pressing all the buttons, working all the switches, like if you have like one of the higher end sims, like the Fenix, like the airplane I'm flying, the Fenix 320, everything interacts the way it's supposed to. If I do something, it's going to have an impact on the aircraft and on all the systems. So just to use a basic example, but if I turn the temperature up in the cockpit and you just watch this here, you're going to see that this is the incoming duct temperature into the cockpit. You can see it's going up. You don't see it too much, but this valve would have opened up a little more. If I do it really extreme and go very hot in here, you'll probably see this valve move. There you go. Now you see the valve is moving a little closer to the center position, and the air coming into the ducts is getting very warm because it's trying to heat up the cabin. If I turn it back down again, it reacts accordingly. It takes time, but all the systems are so accurately modeled. Now you can see I've turned it down. It's the only criticism I have with Fenix sometimes is that it almost reacts too quickly. Airbus computers always need a couple of seconds to kind of think through things, and I find Fenix's reactions are almost too fast. Airbus's computers often need a little more time. Yeah, like you can watch things happen in real time on this system, which is just phenomenal. Things like the fact that the green hydraulic system, the amount of fluid in the reservoir is way outside of the green range because we're in flight. This is actually extremely normal in flight that this is out of the green range, because when you retract the gear, retracting the gear actually fills the pistons with a lot of fluid from the green system. So all that fluid's in the landing gear pistons. When the landing gear is extended, all those fluids will drain out of the pistons and will refill the reservoir. So just like the level of detail in here is phenomenal. People are complaining it's too hot in the cabin. It's funny. Yes, and yes they would. That's why I turned up the flight deck temperature and not the cabin temperature. I left the cabin temperature alone because otherwise the flight attendants will bother me. But yeah, the way all these systems react together and interact together in the Fenix is just phenomenal, and you can see you can very easily learn the aircraft itself and how everything reacts. I'm looking forward to the Fenix Neo. I heard Scandinavian. Sorry, was that call for Scandinavian 4760?
6855.
Blocked.
All stations in Hamburg, please contact number 12-126.855.
All right. Yeah, see, I gotta keep listening to this guy's ATC, and he's coming a little quiet to me, so I need to just turn them up just a little more here. But yeah, learning how all these things really, yeah, so the next thing I'm really looking forward to, I am looking forward to the Neo options for the Fenix when they release it. I hope that they're going to have some of the other stuff that's on here, because there's some neat technology in the Neo airplanes that I've just started reading about. So there are new airplanes that are on their way to our company that are 321 Neos, not the CEOs, but the Neos with the new engines. And there's some really, really neat technology that I've been reading up on now. We've finally... All right, over to advisory, Scandinavian 4760. Good day. I thought it was calling us. Yeah. So we've got the documentation now. We finally got the new manuals issued to us, and there's some really neat stuff in there. Runway overrun protection, runway overrun warning. There's a new design to the fuel system. What else have I been reading about? The really big thing that I've been reading about that I'm kind of looking forward to is the HUDs. We're actually going to be using heads-up displays. So we don't have any heads-up displays in the current engine options, but the new engines, the new generation of Airbus A320s comes with HUDs, and we're going to have HUDs that we're going to be able to use. It's going to be so there's a lot of new stuff to read about with these new airplanes that are on the way. But it's making me excited. It's making me finally believe that these things are actually happening, because Lord knows, like, you hear about things. Oh, these airplanes are coming. They're supposed to arrive like 2 years ago, and they're still not here yet. But they're getting close now. It's going to be nice to have some of this technology, and then supposedly all of our old ones that we're keeping are going to be upgraded to have matching technology. Whether or not that happens, I guess we'll see. Anyways, we're back to Unicom here. I think it's probably about time to start looking at what's going on in Oslo here. So let me see if I can find an ATIS. Oh, I do have a live digital ATIS for ENGM. There we go. ATIS Guru. ATIS Guru. So ENGM arrival ATIS. New further future destinations. I'm excited for these airplanes because they will open up some possibilities. Apparently, not as good as was originally hoped. There's one big problem with it, because yes, the new airplanes are supposed to have really long range. I forget what the range is. I think it's like 3,800 or 4,000 miles or something, and they basically lived up to their range promises. They are going to make it as far as there we go. There's the airports, as far as they're supposed to. But apparently, the one thing that was not properly analyzed and is suddenly kind of coming to light now and is becoming a little bit of an issue is that the takeoff performance for these airplanes is not going to be sufficient for some of the places that they were hoping to take this airplane. Because in order to get the amount of fuel on board and the takeoff weight you're going to need to get this range, there are some airports that were being targeted that are either too consistently hot in the summer that climb performance is going to be a problem at these kind of weights that we're talking about, or just the runways are short enough that obstacles near the departure end of the runway are going to prevent sufficient climb performance on departure to clear these obstacles. So the range is right where it's supposed to be apparently, but in order to get the range, the fuel that you're going to need, some of these places that they were originally talked about are not going to happen. or may happen with some serious load restrictions in order to make sure there's enough fuel to put in the airplane to get the airplane off the ground and still have a safe climb gradient in the event of an engine failure. So maybe not as many destinations as they had originally envisioned, but there's still going to be plenty of them. There's lots of places. There's going to be the good old transcons, red-eye flights, because these planes are going to have lie-flat seats. They're going to be narrow bodies with lie-flat seats. But then, yeah, a lot of Western European cities. Not so much Eastern European, but a lot of Western European cities, and also skinnier secondary routes. So things like the secondary cities in North America to secondary cities in Europe, things that may not have been possible before. You're going to see a lot more of that. So it's going to be a while. There's going to be some teething time to sort of figure these airplanes out. But for me, I'm not really expecting to go to these places, because the way I see it, I'm near the bottom of the list. The way I see it happening is that the first 6 months at least, when these airplanes come out and start flying, and they're going to start, once they start arriving, they're going to start arriving one every month or so. The fleet's going to build pretty quickly. The first 6 months, I see it being all the senior guys are going to want to fly these routes, because they're going to be like, I've never been to some of these places before, or I haven't flown them, you know, I can't wait to do these layovers in these, you know, European cities and whatnot. And then after 6 to 9 months, I think people are going to get tired of the long-haul flying. They're going to be like, wow, another 10-hour flight in the flight deck of an A320. That's a long time. The A320 flight deck is spacious. It's a big flight deck compared to most other narrow-body jets, but it's still a long time, and if you have an augment crew, there's no bunk. You're sitting in a curtained-off seat in J class, pretending that you're not there, trying to get a nap while everyone else is having dinner service or whatever. It's going to be... I feel like after like 6 months to a year, it's going to flip, and most of the long haul stuff is going to go junior, because the senior guys will be like, this kind of sucks. In all honesty, I don't want to do this anymore. I'd rather go back to flying some medium haul and not needing an augment, not spending 10 hours in the flight deck. It might be productive flying, and some people will like that, but I think a lot of people will kind of try it and not like it as much. So a year or two after launch, I may start to see some of these routes, maybe. We'll see. Anyways, arrival 8 is for Oslo. Expect ILS or RMP approach runway 1 right. Transition level is 85. Runway condition report 1 right at 1322. Runway condition 555. 100% wet. 050 at 2. 10 kilometers visibility. Clouds scattered 300 feet. Overcast 500 feet. Temperature 3, 2.2. It's warmer here than it was in Munich. Munich, it was 0. And here in Oslo, it's actually 3. QNH 1011. I'll set that right now. Here we go. All right. So let's start setting up for this arrival here in Oslo on 1 right. So first things first, let's just make sure we can land on 1 right. So Oslo, we're going to select 1 right. We're going to say wet runway per the ATIS there. We're going to apply the METAR. Light winds, 3 degrees, 1011. That looks good. Landing weight. So let's go over here and go fuel prediction page. So we're going to land with about 4 tons of gas, 58.9-ish. That's a tiny bit overestimate, but that's good. Overestimate all the time, just to be sure. So 58.9. So let's do that. 58.9. Enter. Alright, low auto brake, no reverse, manual landing, flap full, auto thrust on. Those are all good options. And so we've got a 2,150 meter runway. Factored landing distance 2345 meters. That gives us still a 600 meter buffer, so that's still plenty of buffer. So not a problem to land on 1 right in Oslo. Good. All right. Next is all right, status. So everything is as we'd said before. Center tank fuel unusable. That's fine. Cat 3 single only. We know that because of ELAC 1. Cat 3 dual center tank pump. That's all good. Okay, so I think we'd set up 1 left. So let's set up 1 right. Let's pull up charts so that we know what we're setting up here. All right, so ENGM. So Lunip for Lima. Let's see, does this apply to the right and the left side? 1 left and right RNAV arrival. Okay, perfect. Approach, so we're going to plan the ILS, runway 1 right. In sub is a transition, so we can directly close this up if we need to, and then taxi. Nope, what am I trying to do here? I'm trying to do airport chart here. Which is already flagged. Similar kind of layout to Munich. Turned about 45 degrees, 60 degrees, but similar layout to Munich. So we're going to land 1 right. We're going to go to the terminal. I have no idea where to park, in all honesty. We'll figure that out in a little bit here. But okay, so I think we got the charts we need here. So let's go ahead and look through this. So we're going to make sure we have all these waypoints here. So what we're going to do is we're going to do this. We're going to do this. Put it up flight plan. And then I'm going to use my hardware to control this so you guys can follow along to make sure we got everything. So it's important when you're flying. Always make sure that everything is in here that's supposed to be in here. So we're doing the... So first of all, we've got to change the arrival here. So arrival. And we're going to change it to the ILS 1 right. And this may create a discon. So let's just make sure that, no, after Lunap, it looks like it's still there. Perfect. And what I'm actually going to do, I'm going to go back to that page again. So arrival... And I'm going to insert the via in sub. I know we don't have any ATC yet, and we should have a hold there, but because we don't have any ATC, I'm going to go ahead and insert that with the transition. So, what you're going to see here now, I'm going to put this into plan mode here, zoom this out a little bit, so we're going to scroll along, slew along this list here. So in sub, or sorry, Lunap is where we start the arrival. I'm going to make sure we have constraints up, and we're going to check everything over here very thoroughly. So, Lunap, max 250 knots. Then we go to DevQ, above 12,000, max 250 knots. Then we go to GM 416, max 220 knots, and 11,000. That's a hard 11,000, yep. GM 417, max 220 knots. GM 415, max 220 knots. GM 414, at 11,000, max 220 knots. Then we go inbound to in-sub, max 220 knots, 5,000 feet. Oh, sorry, 5,000 or above. And then that's where we can transition to the initial approach fix there. So we're going to check this out here. So in sub, mandatory 5,000. Sorry, mandatory 220 knots, 5,000 feet or above. And then NOSLA above 4,000, max 200 knots at NOSLA. And then Zemin, 3,500 feet. And then down to runway 1 right, and then the missed approach, track 012 to 2.5 from ONE, which is there. That's this one right here, around 3 miles distance. Right turn, proceed on track 048 to 4,000, expect vectoring by Oslo approach. So 048, 4,000 is all it gives us. Alright, so that's all in there. All the constraints and everything are all in there as they need to be. And we should see ONE 111.95, 012, 111.95, ONE 011. There's usually a little variation between the heading on the chart and the heading in the box. This is just due to the different magnetic variation tables used. So most of the time in the real world, that's usually very accurate. In the flight sim, it's usually off by a degree or two. That's okay, as long as it's the right general direction. The point is that the beam is actually on the ground. It's mounted on the ground, so it's just the magnetic tables in the sim may not be completely up to date to match the charts, which are very up to date. Alright, so the rad nav looks good. The prog page I'm going to here, we got 269 miles to go. We got GPS primary nav accuracy is high, and predicted GPS says we're going to be fine when we get there. Performance, cruise, and descent. So 76250 for our descent speed. That's pretty low. It'll work. What time are we going to get there at? 11:42? No. Yeah, 11:42 will be our top descent point. 12:13, yeah. I'm just looking at our arrival time here. I could accelerate that if I want to, or I could leave it fully managed. I'm just going to fully manage it. Every once in a while, these buttons stop working in the sim, and I don't know why. And then they'll start working again, no problem. So, let's go back to my ATIS again here that I had. That's not it. This is it here. So again, 1011, temperature's 3, the wind 050 at 2. 050 at 2. 101, oops, 0, 011, and the temperature is 3. The minimums for this approach, we're doing as a Cat 1 today. That's not it. Where's my charts? Where did my charts go? Did I close my charts? I'm gonna get rid of this, stuff I don't need. There's my charts. So the minimums for this approach, ILS, straight in, Cat 1, full lighting. 871. In the barrow, and the go around we said was 4,000, right? 4,000 radar vectors, yeah, 4,000. So we'll accelerate at 4,000 feet. 4,000 feet. All right, so that's good. Fuel prediction page. We got 42 minutes of extra gas before we have to go off to, I forget what our alternate is. But we got 42 minutes, so we can definitely do one go around without a problem. I'm going to copy the active to the secondary, and then in the secondary we're going to change it back to 1 left. So if we get some ATC online and they decide to change it up on us, 1 left is in the box. The one thing I haven't done is I haven't put in performance for the secondary, so the minimums for 1 left. And the whole idea is just to plan possibility. To cruise, you're not doing very much, so you have lots of time to sort of pound in different numbers, think about different scenarios, you know, get runway conditions for different scenarios if you want. Then if something happens, you're not scrambling at the last minute. Then you've got lots of time. So 857, and this one is 5,000 for this missed approach. So we're going to go ahead and change that. It's also a vector. So I'm just going to go through the secondary really quickly here. I'm going to scroll through it. You can watch it on the screen up there. So the arrival is exactly the same until we get to INSUV, and that's where it varies. After INSUV, in this case, we go straight to Augras. So Nozzle is on the primary there, but we go straight to Augras. That's where we join final. So, oh, there's a discon in there. I should remove that discon. That'll work. 5,000 and above, Augras. There should be restrictions at 4,000. They're not showing, that's fine. The constraints don't always show on the secondary. Point is that the routing is there, Zikla, and then missed approach 012 straight ahead all the way up to 5,000. There's nothing else to see there, just go straight ahead. So, all right, that's all in the box. We've checked the status. I think we're just about ready. Let's see here. Let's just have a quick little look-see here. Where's our top of descent point here? We're still actually doing pretty well here. It's still about 45 minutes out, but until we're out to landing. 45 minutes to landing, but yeah, about 20 minutes till we start our top of descent. I'm just going to do the briefing now and get it out of the way. And then if anything happens to change, then we can just deal with just the changes. And we don't have to worry about everything else along the way. Actually, there is a tower in ENG. I did not even look ahead. Really? Okay, so let's go see what he says. So I'm pulling this up here now. ATIS ENGM. Arrival. VATSIM. Send. Let's see if we can get an ATIS back from this guy. SAS Ops says... we were 2 minutes late leaving. Well, I'll let the gate agent figure it out. ATIS. Information Uniform 1620. ILS or RMP approach 1 right or 1 left. Transition level 8,500. Runway condition right, 1 right, 555, 100% wet. Runway 1 left, 555, 100% wet. 0503, variable 340 and 090. Visibility 10 miles. Rain, shallow fog, cloud broken 300. Temperature 3, dew point 2, 1011. Confirm 8 is uniform. Alright, so we're going to stick with the plan here. Since I don't have any approach controller, I can pick whatever runway I want. So we're going to stick with the 1 right for now. And yeah, we'll just have to talk to the tower when we get there. I didn't realize there was the tower. Haha, helpful. Nice. Okay, yeah, so let's do this. And I'm not thinking about it because I'm not talking to him, but let's brief this guy first here. So weather's marginal, runway's wet. Wow, this guy's good. APU after landing, yes. Approach top ILS, threats, weather, auto land, no. Minimum descent on this, 871. Transition level, 8500. You will require your LS. Airport elevation, that's the one thing I don't know. Airport elevation is 682 feet here. 682. Save changes. Alright, beauty. Are you ready for the approach briefing? You have control.
Go ahead. I have control.
He was not going to accept it until I said you have control. Okay. Alright, so technical status of the aircraft. ELAC 1 fault. For the approach, we cannot do RNP AR, and we are Cat 1 only because we're flying on Autopilot 1. So Cat 1 only, we have to do 200-foot minimums. We'd have to fly Autopilot 2 to do the Cat 3 single. We're not able Cat 3 dual because of the ELAC 1 fault. No TAMs for the arrival. That's actually the one thing I did not check. I'm bad at this, aren't I? Normally this would be part of my flight plan review before I ever get in the airplane, but I don't do a flight plan review for the sim, so... not for the streams, anyways, I should say. Okay, no TAMs really of anything of consequence in Oslo. So, the arrival today into Oslo, bring this back again. Oh, I keep moving out of the way. The arrival today is the Luna 4 Lima arrival into Oslo Gardermoen. Gardermoen? I don't know how to say it in all honesty, so if I'm saying it wrong, I'm sorry. Gardermoen? RNF1 surveillance service shall be available. Uh-oh, can't do it if we're offline in VATSIM world. Loss of RNF capability, request vectoring. Vectoring may be used for sequencing, so descent is required. This, and clearance limit is INSUV holding, merging point is INSUV. Follow the star, case of comm failure, no specified runway, runway 1 right. What's also interesting about this too, just to look at it, is like you can see how vectoring is going to be used to adjust the arrival spacing. Basically, you're heading straight towards the airport, then you get a sudden pie-shaped turn off to the right. You can tell this used to be like a DME arc, but basically you do like a right turn, do 90 degrees, but at any point, the controller can go back and give you direct back to INSUV to put you back on the arrival so that he can time all the arrivals. So this basically right here is a time killer to give the controller some room to work with. We'll fly the whole thing. It's just easier because the vertical profile is going to be based on that pretty much at this point. Okay, the arrival we're planning on is not this one, but it's the ILS runway 1 right in Oslo Gardermoen. Plate 11-2. Loc ONE 11195 and 012. It's all been auto-tuned by the FMS. Zemin at 3,500 feet and the ILS-DA 871. Barrow 871 indicated. Missed approach as published is otherwise advised by ATC. The top altitude 4,000 and the MSA is 3,900 feet is the highest one to the northwest of the VOR on the field. It's a standard 3-degree slope. Pappy's on the left. Hiles 2 lighting system. Landing runway 1 right with low auto brake. I'll select it in a second here. We're going to take a convenient left turn off the runway, probably be around Bravo 6, I would imagine. And if we make Bravo 6, very short taxi in, Bravo 7, maybe slightly longer taxi in. I don't know where we park. I'm going to see if I can find... I don't even need to find anything, because we've got a tower there, so he'll tell us where to park, assuming he's still there. Let's see here. Yeah. So that's it for charts. Approach configuration is going to be a managed approach to a manual landing, localized low coupled approach. Clear for the approach with arm approach mode. We can arm the second pilot. This matter is still going to be stuck in Cat 1. Actually, it might even trigger Cat 3 single, but we have to know it's a Cat 1 limit per the MEL. Anti-ice with the low cloud will probably be on for the arrival. Auto brake, low. It'll be max reverse and config full for landing. And once clear, and once we're runways in sight, landing's assured, the autopilot will come off. Quick check of everything. Again, the RadNav auto tuning is working for us here. Fuel prediction page, again, 42 extra minutes of fuel. We could definitely do 2 go-arounds before we have to consider whether we're going to stay or go to our alternate. And the secondary does have the left side in it, so we can do the left side if need be. Any questions?
No questions.
I have control.
You have control.
All right, we're ready. We got about 40 miles till our top descent point there. Things are looking good. All right, enjoying my nice warm coffee. This is one of those silly little things, but it was a nice thing that my wife actually did. Was she had a friend who was giving it away, and she asked me if I wanted it. It's just a stupid little electric coaster on my desk. Just a little heating pad, little electric coaster that's on my desk, and I turn it on whenever I put my coffee on there, so my coffee just stays nice and hot for longer. It doesn't cool off ambiently, especially over the 1 to 2 hours that I'm streaming here. It just stays hot the whole time, and it's actually so hot right now that I actually turned the switch off again. But one of those things, like I would never buy for myself, but actually it's something I make use of a fair bit. I kind of laughed at it first, and said, sure, why not? And then like when I actually put it on there, and it's like I started using it, I'm like, this is actually really nice to have. My coffee stays warm the whole time I'm streaming, the whole time I'm flying. You know, I don't have to worry about it being cold after 20 minutes. Silly little thing, but it's one of those things I really liked. And that's what I'm trying to do for Christmas, is I'm always trying to find surprising gifts. And that's the hard part, I think, is surprising gifts. I always ask people what they want in hopes that it will kind of inspire me to go on a surprise somewhere, something that they're not expecting. And yeah, especially with the holiday season coming now, I'm very much into it. I definitely have gotten a few surprises now, but yeah, and my daughter was telling me how she has a friend who's their family just say, what do you want for Christmas? And then they go out and they buy it. It's like, well, it's a nice token. It's a nice gesture. Yeah, it's such a silly little thing. Honestly, it's such a silly little thing. The coffee cup warmer is so silly. I never thought I would be like, oh, I don't really get much use out of it, but I actually do. I have to be very careful picking this thing up now here, because it's actually still really hot on its surface. I'm not even sure I can move it enough here, but it's just the simplest little thing. It's just a little coffee cup, and it's got coffee stains on it, but it's just a little heater coffee cup thing. And it's the stupidest little thing, but it keeps your coffee warm for hours. It's super hot. Like, I cannot touch the surface of it. Like, it is burningly hot on the surface, but it does a great job. It keeps the coffee cup nice and warm from the base. It'll even, if I let the coffee get cold, I turn it on, it'll reheat the coffee pretty well. It's a little thing, but yeah, it's a great little gift that my wife got me. And it was just a whim. Someone was giving it away. They wanted in a contest or something, said I don't drink coffee, so I wasn't going to use it. And my wife's like, my husband might like that. She asked me, and I laughed it off. I said, nah, I won't use that. But actually, I do use it. I use it quite a bit. But yeah, I'm trying to come up with gifts, and surprising people is tough, especially people you don't live with. You know, my parents, you know, I try to come up with things to surprise them, and I ask them every year pretty much. I phone almost everyone in my family, and it's like, okay, so what do you want for Christmas? Tell me what you want for Christmas. And I do that not necessarily because I want to go out and buy them something that they already know they're getting, but I would like to try and find something. And so like I like it when they're like kind of general. Like my dad, as she said this year, he's like, I'd like a Lego set. Like I want to build some Lego. And I thought the perfect one. I found him, and as soon as I saw it, I was looking for a long time, and I couldn't find anything that I really liked. I found one that hasn't been released yet that looks really good, but and then I found Leonardo da Vinci's flying machine. And I said, that's perfect. That is exactly like it's you know, it says a little bit of me there too, but you know, it's something maybe intellectual is not the right word, but it's not like just something silly. There's something actually nice to it. It's a little bit artistic in a way. And I saw it, and I'm just like, that's it. So I just bought it on the spot. So I kind of like it when people give me kind of general ideas of what they're looking for. I'm trying to come up with some other gifts. Like my mother, I was thinking like a wine tour or something like that would be nice, but most of these wine tour places don't offer gift cards, gift certificates. I was like, the only place I could find that did offer gift certificates was only for 3 months. And I was like, 3 months? Like that means you're going to have to do a wine tour in winter. And, you know, I'd rather give them the option of how, like, I would think like a year is a very reasonable time for a gift card. And I know gift cards aren't supposed to expire, but, or for a gift certificate to expire, a year, even 6 months. I bought my wife trail riding experience, and they had a year to use it. So they you know, I think that's very reasonable. Yes, okay, it's fine to like not have this liability out there forever and have an expiry date, but it's got to be reasonable. 3 months, 90 days, like it's what's the point? That is just stupid. I'm sorry, but it's just stupid. All right, here comes our top descent point. So I'm going to go ahead and set 10,000 initially here. Flight level 100 set with a 110 constraint. Actually, I should probably set 110 since that's obviously the big constraint there. Flight level 110 set. Speed descent all blue. Yeah. So I'm trying to come up with surprising things, and it's often hard. The one thing that I'm going to surprise my one kid with, because the winery might not exist anymore, competitive business, you know. Yeah, exactly. Well, still, 1 year. Most of these aren't even the wineries. It's usually like a tour company. But yeah, like just, I get it that like most of your business is people buying themselves tours, but like there's got to be some gifts being given. Because this is another thing too here, actually. This year for Christmas, I'm probably going to give someone who's interested in Flight Simulator a copy of the Fenix. But in order to do that, I'm just going to have to give them the cash, or I'm going to have to ask them to create an account and then tell me the password at Fenix. They can change it afterwards if they want, so I can buy it for them. But, you know, like Fenix is not, you can't give a Fenix as a gift. And that's disappointing. And a lot of Flight Sim products, gifting is not an option. And that's disappointing because, again, I have there's somebody on my list that has kind of gotten into flight simming, and I would like to give them this some decent scenery, a good airport scenery to fly to, but I can't do it. The best I can do is with Sim Market. I can usually give a gift card at Sim Market. They have digital gift cards, but then I have to buy a block amount and tell them which airport to go and buy, and they don't have to, and it's fine if you don't want to, but I would like to be able to pick that and say, here's the gift, you know, not, oh, here's a money transfer, you've got to go and do this yourself. I'd rather give them the gift ready to go. So it annoys me that a lot of Flight Sim, and I do get that that's a very small niche necessarily, but I don't think it's an impossible niche. I mean, you look at Steam. Steam has made gift giving very easy. You can go and see your friends and family's wish lists, and you can pick something on there, and Steam will even let you pick the time it's delivered. So automatically at 9 a.m. on their birthday, boom, click. Oh, look, I got a new Steam game. You know, like, very well done. There's a reason why Steam dominates the market the way they do, is because they have a system that is so simple, easy to use, and yet they keep adding meaningful improvements so often. Like that, like being able to select when a gift is delivered. Like, so many simple, meaningful improvements. You contrast that with Windows and Microsoft and the bull that is just shoveled and shoehorned into Windows nowadays, and it's like, oh, you must have a Microsoft account to use your own computer. Flight Sim was created for nerds, not profits. Easy to use, forget it. Yeah, well, and I get that. Like, it's not necessarily a big market, but I think there is a big market. Like, I think as nerds, we would give gifts to each other a little bit more, I think, if it was easy to do. But yeah, one of the gifts I'm giving this year is one of my kids is getting my old computer. But there's no Windows on it. We're going to experiment for a little while with Linux, because I am just tired of Windows. Trying to get Windows up and running, and then they say the license key isn't valid, even though it is. And it's like, oh my god, it's just like, it's a disaster. And it's so chock full of junk. So we're going to experiment with Linux. I just spent the 2 days this week rebuilding that computer, reinstalling the graphics card in it, putting a new hard drive in it, and then installing Linux on it. And we're going to see how that goes. And I used Linux once upon a time. I had Linux on my computers probably 20 years ago since I actually did it. But she could become a programmer. I don't think she has any interest in becoming a programmer. I think it's going to be a bit of a hard sell. But some of the desktop environments, like I installed Linux Mint with the Cinnamon desktop. It's a very Windows-style desktop, very easy to use. I installed Steam on it, and it was actually fairly easy to install. I had to update the graphics drivers to the NVIDIA current graphics drivers, but once I did that, Steam went on there pretty nicely. It took a little bit of a run at it with a game that we like to play, and it worked. It took me a minute to figure out how to make it full screen and make that work, but it worked with very minimal effort, I've got to say, and I'm hoping that going forward that's going to become the thing. I like Linux though, because I like the fact that you can do so much through the terminal. And I've been relearning my Linux commands and everything again, but it's a good skill to have. I was forced to use Linux recently due to Google killing my Gen 2 Nest thermostat, needed Linux to hack. Yeah, exactly. And like all these companies, it's like, why are we killing all these services? Like, oh, that drives me nuts. Google is one of the worst for that, killing services. If it's not used by a substantial portion of the world, then they just kill it off. And Google of all people, like there's I was reading there's a Kubernetes cluster traffic manager that is being killed off, and everyone's in a big uproar about it because it's being killed off in like 3 months. And the guys basically said, this is open source software, nobody's been paying for it, you guys have been using it for free, there's 1, maybe 2 people that are actually working on maintaining it in their off hours for no benefit of their own other than just simply knowing that they're helping their fellow programmers out there. And then a big security flaw was discovered. It's like, we don't have the time to fix this. And all these people are like, oh, you should be given at least a year before you shut down this service that we've been using. It's like, yes, that is theoretically true, but also you didn't pay jack squat for this service. Nobody's paying anything for this. There's nobody trying to maintain this. You guys all want it to exist, but nobody wants to do the work to maintain it. So it's going down because nobody wants to maintain it. I get that. But like, Google's a big company. Like, just because the revenue dropped off to 10 or 20% does not mean you should be shutting down a service altogether. Yeah, it bugs me a lot sometimes, these things. So I'm hoping that that at least getting into Linux a little bit will make this a little bit more future-proof. Definitely bloatware-proof. Linux Mint comes with a bunch of stuff pre-installed, like LibreOffice and a bunch of apps pre-installed, but you can uninstall any of them. Just refund them and call it a day. You can process it all in seconds. Yeah. Anyways. But yeah, so this will be an interesting experiment to see how Linux works on this computer. And, you know, it's a bit of a family-wide experiment. If it's a real... If I don't see the disadvantages to it, the only thing that really keeps me really grounded on Windows in... right now is what you see right in front of you. Microsoft Flight Simulator is the one thing that's really keeping me grounded in Windows. I would be curious to install that on the other computer. I don't know. Yeah, there probably is enough hard drive space. And try and run it and see how it runs on Linux. Because if it can run that on Linux, like, just the idea of cutting the ties with Windows. I mean, they just, every day they're making it worse. They're shoehorning AI in that nobody wants. Like, if you want to put it as a feature or an option, fine, but stop putting it on everybody's computer automatically, because half the people out there don't want this. We want our computers to be functional, and you're breaking the basic functionality. The recent update killed the ability to log into the computer from the login screen. You have to either find the hidden button on the screen to get the password up, or what I figured out also works is Control-Alt-Delete still works. But yeah, they hit if you just tap the screen, it doesn't do anything. It doesn't bring up the login screen anymore. And it's like, you're breaking basic stuff. Like, you can't even log into the computer. But you're all worried about this AI garbage that has been demonstrated as, like, it barely works. It barely does what it's supposed to half the time. You can't trust it to do anything without second guessing it without looking over its shoulders anyways. So like, is it really generating that much efficiency? Okay. We should make sure we got this tower frequency ready to go here. ENGM West Tower 18305. Maybe just check and see if there's a new 18305. See if there's a new ATIS too. It's too far. 18305. In fairness, I use AI for ideation. You know what? And here's the thing: is that if you want to use AI, I got no problem with that. And by all means, go for it. If it helps you, if you think it aids your tasks, then by all means go for it. But what really bugs me is this putting it into everything when people don't want it around. Wow, I just did that by default. That's the thing that really bugs me, is forcing these stupid features on people that they don't want. Telling me all the time that I have to log into a Microsoft account so I can make sure that I can use AI and I can use my Office 365 subscription. Guess what? I don't use Office 365. I hate Microsoft Office now. I think it's become garbage ever since they switched to a subscription model. I don't use that. I don't use OneDrive. I have my own backup systems running on multiple vectors. I do not need your backup system. So stop forcing me to log to an account when I don't need one. All right. Uniform, ILS-1 right. Transition level 85. 555. Shallow fog. Yeah, I think that's all the same as it was before. I think uniform's what it was before. All right. So yeah, that sort of thing is driving me nuts. So that's why, like, I'm interested to sort of spend some time with Linux. I hear you. AI was the reason Google used to kill my Nest thermostat. Who needs AI in a thermostat? And it's not even really AI. I mean, it's funny, but like this use of AI it's a bit of a misnomer. It's a large language model is what they're using. So it's algorithms that can communicate with us in human language. But this idea that it's artificially intelligent, it's not really. It's just it's good at synthesizing information. And I mean, I guess it depends on how you measure the term intelligence, really. The large language models are good at synthesizing lots of information, bringing it together, maybe even combining it in new ways, but they are not necessarily intelligent. Again, it's you know, can they have a conversation? Well, yeah, because they've read 100,000 combinations of conversations on the internet. So is that the intelligence? Because they can regurgitate things that they've read before and synthesize them into new products, perhaps. But yeah, I'm more than a little skeptical of this AI claim, and with good cause. It's not really. Is it really intelligent? Is language the sole indicator of intelligence? Because it's the fact that it can use language is what makes it really novel and neat, what people are selling lots of money on it, spending lots of money trying to generate it. But just because it can use language, does that make it intelligent? Language is a tool of intelligence for sure, and is necessary to communicate intelligence between organisms, but it's not necessarily the only sign of intelligence. So, you know, anyways. But like, all this is like, we're just trying to create more and more advanced algorithms, which is fine. But, you know, call a spade. It's an algorithm. It's not you know, the intelligence might not be as, and certainly not for every application too. Like, do you really need your thermostat to be intelligent, or you just need to have a really useful algorithm? Because a really useful algorithm is really all it needs. It doesn't necessarily need to be intelligent and sentient and, you know what you're thinking. And ask Dave if what he's doing. Yeah, have we not learned from the movies anyways? Have we not learned from the movies? I got my kids to watch Terminator 2 finally last weekend. And they laughed at it because it was corny, and Arnold sometimes is a little bit over the top. But the message is clear. It's like, do we need artificial intelligence really? And should we have artificial intelligence? What's the end game of artificial intelligence? You know, oh, we're all going to be obsolete, and, you know, everybody's job's going to be obsolete in 5 years. Well, fantastic. So everybody's going to be unemployed and dirt poor except for the people who actually own the artificial intelligence, and then those people will be uber rich. It's, you know, there's great potential in it, but it seems like the most likely use for it is just simply to exacerbate the existing inequalities in our society, make them even worse. Seems to be probably the primary thing it's really going to do. The rich are going to keep on getting richer. The poor are just going to be out of a job and with nothing left to do. I'm going to have to start backtracking this streaming, I think. Streaming at night, kind of boring. Not much to look at out there. I mean, there's some clouds. There's some nice clouds. It's kind of nice to break out on the runway at minimums, but it's a little bit boring. I feel like, given the time of year, if I keep streaming in Europe, I may have to time shift the flights by 1 to 3 hours just so that we get some daytime streaming, because, yeah, nighttime is just not quite where it's at. Yeah, now you can't even buy memory because all the artificial intelligence companies are trying to buy it. And I thought it was great. The one thing that the CEO of IBM, this is my FlightSim experience. Yeah, mine too. Most of the time I stream in the evenings, but darn the real time. Yeah, the one thing that the CEO of IBM kind of talked about a little bit, and it may not be totally accurate, but it's an interesting way to kind of approach it, is that the amount of money that is being poured into data centers and AI right now, and based on the projections of energy usage, the build out of data centers right now is going to be on the order of $6 trillion over the next 5 years to 10 years. $6 trillion worldwide. That's a lot. But in order for that to be justifiable as an investment, you've got to figure that in these data centers where these processors are working 24/7, they probably have a lifespan on the order of 5 years, maybe 10. So you've got to figure that on an annual basis, you've probably got to be making, at a minimum, 10% of that investment back every year, which means you're talking about AI companies will have to have revenues easily exceeding $600 billion to have a profitable enterprise, to have paid back the loan, the interest, paid for the that's a conservative estimate, is that they need to get a 10% return on investment every year, because the vast majority of this cost is going into the chips.
1,000 to go.
Thank you. And if the chips, in a hardcore production environment, are only going to probably last you 5 to 10 years before you're probably replacing most of them, you need to be getting a 10% return on your investment per year. Now, again, $6 trillion being invested, $600 billion return a year. Do you really think you're going to get $600 billion in revenue plus a profit margin on top of that? And it's not to say that these algorithms are not powerful, but we're also kind of reaching a point where it's like throwing more chips at the problem is not necessarily making them all that much better. They are getting better, but it's a law of diminishing returns. You're creating systems that are bigger and bigger, so now we've got to create more systems to coordinate the bigger systems. There comes a point where we start to lose the ability to get any efficiency out of this by, our efficiency goes down per unit as the system gets bigger and bigger, and we've got to be able to just distribute the information across a bigger and bigger system. So, I don't think it's not going to happen, that these companies aren't necessarily going to make money, but I think a lot of people that are investing money are going to lose money. I think a large portion of these businesses that are investing in these ginormous, like ridiculous data centers, never mind trying to find the power for all these things too. The kind of power that's got to come online in the next decade to power all these data centers that are being proposed, it's going to render us, we're going to go back to Blade Runner. Speed Alt 11, flight level 110. Where like 95% of the world's power is being diverted to power one system. In Blade Runner, it was the shield, but like imagine if like 90% of the world's power generation was going to power these chips, and then the rest of us humans are left trying to eke off the crumbs. The rich people will probably keep the lights on in their house, and the rest of us will probably we'll be lucky if we can have one light bulb in our house once a day. We certainly won't be flight simming for what power will cost in a couple of years. that's a whole other issue that you got to kind of look at and say, like, we cannot scale this up infinitely. There is a limited amount of power that we can probably make available to these data centers. And that power is, a lot of it is being taken away from the rest of us. Yes, we can scale up some of our production. Yes, we can increase the amount of solar, and the amount of solar that's gone online recently is phenomenal too. That's another really neat statistic if you look at it. From the invention of the photovoltaic cell, which happened in the 1960s, it took almost 50 years to install the first gigawatt of solar capacity on this planet. The second gigawatt took 2 years, took an additional 2 years to install. It happened just in the last 2 years. So, yes, we are rapidly accelerating the amount of solar power, but the amount of power that these generators look for, the idea of the solar power is to provide an offset to a lot of our existing carbon-based power. It's not to provide new power sources, but is to provide the offset that we need. All right. Anyways. Like the next constraint, I'm going to go down to, I'm going to put the 4,000 foot constraint on there. I'm going to wait till we pass this last fix here. Tower still online. Tower still there. All right. Anyways, call me a skeptic, but it's just like so many things have to happen well for all this stuff to happen. Some companies will make some money, some companies will do well, but other companies will not. Other companies will quickly fall by the wayside. The other thing is we're diverting so much capital onto this project. It's like we can't just forget about the whole rest of the planet just because a few people have a really good idea that they tell us is the future. Okay, so we're going to pass GM414. That's going to take us to INSUV. And then once we pass GM414, we're at 220 knots. It's beautiful. Everything's coming up us. The other nice thing is that even though I'm above 10,000 feet, I can now trigger GSX. And wow, this was also the one thing that I thought was fantastic. GSX has created this map system now. So instead of selecting a gate from a list, if you want to, you can still use the list, which is great. And I'm glad they have that backwards redundancy because sometimes that's faster if you know what gate you're going to. But if you don't know, you can look and you can see what gates are available at your airport. You can see the relative size of the aircraft that's allowed at these gates, and you can just click on one to select it. So when we, beautiful, simple but effective system, and this can also be used for designing pushbacks. I didn't even show that. I forgot to show that today. That's a brand new system that GSX just introduced, and wow, what a beautiful thing it is too. Thrust idle descent all blue. We're 110 for 40. We can go ahead and transition now. QNH 1011. QNH 1011, there's idle. We're a little bit above the path, but we should be okay.
1011. Set. Passing. 10,400. Now.
Thank you. The map is awesome. Yeah, that is brand new, and but it's such a fantastic tool, especially if you're not familiar with an airport. You don't know where the gates are, or you have a gate, you have an airport that's poorly designed. And by poorly designed, I generally mean the default airports, where sometimes gates are labeled as parking, sometimes they're labeled as ramps, sometimes they're labeled as gates. You don't know, but you don't have to worry about knowing now because GSX
Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be arriving at our destination
shows you the gates,
shortly. If you are making a connection
regardless of where they are, regardless of whether you have to look
customer
under
service
gate or
agency,
ramp. So
flight
for some
orbiter
reason,
monitors inside
some of these are listed as gates in red. The purple ones, the pink ones are ramps. The green ones are parking. So even though they're all like along the same terminal, they've been marked as different things, and trying to find them would have, in the GSX menu system, was almost impossible. It's like, do I look under gate? Do I look under parking? Do I look under ramp? And sometimes they wouldn't be labeled properly either. They'd be labeled some random letter number combination that in no way resembled the actual gate they were at the airport. Now you can see on the map, you can see which gate you're going to. You can click that one, and you don't have to worry about figuring out which one that is labeled as. So, especially for things like default airports, which are often bad at this, but even sometimes developer airports are not always great at this either. Sometimes they also maybe don't label something as something well. Using it also to control the pushback and click on the pushback and create the pushback. Ah, such a dreamy, dreamy system. So much better than the three-dimensional system that they created originally, which was still an effective system and worked quite well, but this is just like, it's worlds above. It's like, I can't believe...
The cabin is now secure for landing.
Thank you. I can't believe you guys didn't do this all along. Approach checklist.
Barrow Ref.
QNH 1011. 1011 set.
1011 set. Seatbelts.
On.
Minimum.
871 feet set.
Auto brake.
Low armed.
Engine mode selector.
Normal.
Approach checklist completed.
Alright, we're 1,100 feet high in the path. We probably should get down a little bit here. Let's do this. Flaps 1.
Speed checked. Flaps 1.
That'll increase our drag and hopefully help us get down here. Yeah, that map, that GSX map is such a welcome addition. And you don't have to use it. The nice thing is, like, if you don't want the extra resources being used, the menu system's still there. I'm so thrilled that Umberto had the foresight to leave the existing menu system there and said this is an alternative way to use it, but it's not. We're not going to replace the existing way, because sometimes the existing way is also really useful. If you know the gate you're going to and you can navigate, like, you know, when I go to Toronto, because I know Toronto well, I can navigate and find my gate very, very quickly. And I don't need to use the map. Using the map is actually slower. But if you're unfamiliar with the airport, I don't know Oslo, I'll be able to select the gate a lot easier without having to go through the menu system and try and figure out where on the menu system it is. So, all right, I can see the glide slopes there. Looks like we're a little bit high still, so let's go ahead and get some speed brakes going on here. We're about to get to the decel waypoint here. You can see the D right there, which means decel. So we're about to decelerate here. And we can arm the approach. So we're Cat 3 single, autopilot 1 and 2, Locan glide slope blue, speed. Speed, glide slope star, lope star, gear down, landing check. Gear down.
Gear down.
Glide slope. She's not going to slow down without the gear now. I've got full speed brake going and she's still not slowing down. Gear is the only thing left to slow it down. Got above the path and now it's being a bit challenging here.
Cabin crew be seated for landing.
Tower, good evening. Scandinavian 4760, ILS runway 01 right. Change the status from status from status.
4760, got him on target, good evening. Wind variable 2 knots, runway 01 right, clear down.
01 right, clear to land, thanks Scandinavian 4760. Loc. Frame rate's dropping out again now, thank you very much. I'll have to play with that, see if I can figure that out. There's Loc. Flaps 2. Flaps 2. Flaps 2.
Speed checked. Flaps 2.
There. That'll help control the speed now. Alright, temperature, yeah, we need the anti-ice still, it's on. She's decelerating slowly but surely. I might have too many tabs open in Firefox. I wouldn't think that's using up that much processor power, but let me just close some of the excess tabs that I do not need in the hopes that
radar altimeter alive.
this will help my performance. Alright, she's going to be approached down to minimums more or less today, though. It is showing Cat 3 single, even though... Oh, well, we have autopilot 1, but if, yeah. Interesting. If I take off autopilot 1, does it still show Cat 3 single? It does. Interesting. Autopilot 1. Interesting. I wonder if we're not supposed to arm autopilot 2 in this case. It doesn't really specify in the MEL whether you can arm the other one. Alright, I do have ground contact out there, so I think we're going to be okay here. Flaps 3.
Speed checked. Flaps 3.
Flaps full.
Speed checked. Flaps full.
Landing checklist.
ECAM memo.
Landing no blue.
Landing checklist completed.
All right. I just got to spot this airport. She's not great out there. We got some ground contact. No runway lights yet. It's a little bit left of center here.
No, probably 01 left, and 216.
I'm not the only one out here, at least. Is that the runway there? Or is it just more ground lights? I think it's more ground lights.
Fully established from runway 01 right. Canadian 12 Hotel X-ray, Garmin Power, good evening. Main variable, do not runway 01.
1000.
Continue approach number. Continue approach number. 1000.
Alright, runway lights are in sight. We're gonna make it, but it's not great. Not great conditions out here. It is a nice lighting system, though. It definitely brings you all the way back there. Darn, my collapsing frame rate. I gotta try and fix OBS.
$100 above.
Roger. Land.
Checked. Minimums.
Continue.
Checked.
Autopilot off. Cat 1.
Checked.
50, 40, 30, 20, retard. 7, 5.
Spoilers. Reverse green.
Spoilers. Reverse green.
Oh, yeah, he said it.
Decel.
Scan 260 kilo, wind variable, knots, runway 01 left, clear 6.
70 knots.
Okay, takeoff 01 left, Canadian 260.
Manual brakes.
Nose, 1190, that's protection.
Like 119 hold, correction, red nose 119 hold position.
Position, nose, 190. Garderman Tower, Nordic 1 Echo, Lima, good
You can see how terrible this frame rate is. The rain is not helping.
7 max 8, request clearance to Malta.
Nordic 1 Echo Lima, stand by, brake brakes, Canadian 12 Hotel X-ray, wind variable 2 knots, runway 01 right, clear to land.
Close on, Canadian 12 Hotel X-ray.
Brake brakes, Canadian 4760, welcome to Oslo, taxi stand, correction, welcome to Garderman, taxi stand 40 by Juliet.
Alright, taxi stand 40 via Juliet, Scandinavian 4760.
Red nose 119.
Alright, so stand 40. I'm going to sit here for a second. Hopefully he's okay with that because I don't know where I'm going. I'm unfamiliar. 40, right here in the corner. Via Juliet, just straight ahead, which is great.
Thank you very much, Canadian 260.
Alright, so we can probably take the brake off and start moving straight ahead here a little bit.
Initial climb 7,000 feet, course 2715.
And
Let's Malta after 5 Alpha departure, initial altitude 7,000
select
feet,
from the
course
map.
2715, Nordic 1 Echo Lima.
Nordic 1 Echo Lima, right back to correct.
Gate 40. Select. Alright, the map is awesome. I agree 100%. Come on, don't stop. Oh, she's being incredibly slow. It doesn't help that it's night, so it's got to work out all the lighting effects. It's raining. It seems like it's always raining in Europe. After landing checklist.
Mike 12 Hotel
Radar
X-ray,
and
welcome to
predictive
Garden 1,
wind shear
practice
system.
150 via Juliet.
50 via Juliet, Scandinavian 12 Hotel X-ray.
Off.
After landing checklist completed.
After landing flow.
Radar and predictive wind shear system.
Off.
After landing checklist completed.
Flap 0. Alright, so we're looking for... Alright, he should be doing all this stuff. I don't know why he's not. Wow. I gotta do something about this performance, because the second OBS goes away, it's gonna be great, but yeah, it's really just, like, unbearable right now. So 40's up ahead on the left. Past the red nose.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the conclusion of our flight. Please remain seated with your seatbelt
48.
fastened until the captain has turned off the seatbelt sign and the aircraft is parked safely.
There must be
at the
46.
This will be your indication it is safe to move about the cabin. Gather your belongings and disembark.
I gotta say, everything's well labeled at this airport, that's for sure.
We appreciate your business and hope
The
to
numbers
see
are big enough, you
again
can
on a
see them
future
from a mile away.
flight.
I'm blind, I can still see them. Is there gate 42 though, or is 42 and 40 the same gate here? It looks like this is where my marshaller is. There's 40.
Red nose 119 you're currently taxiing the wrong direction. Make a left onto the hotel, then Mike, holding control with 01 left.
Left hotel, Mike.
Disarm slides.
1190.
I guess there is no gate 42 at this airport. It goes straight from 40 to 44. Alright. I can't tell. I can't read what that says up there. I can do this though. Binocular mode is actually pretty good. Hard to tell if we're still moving though from this range. We are.
Take one, I call him, request push and start.
Mike 1 Echo Lima,
I
straight
think we're
push
stopping.
and start approach, H1 for 11.
Straight push approach, H 1011, or take one, I call him.
Binocular mode is actually kind of handy sometimes. I started using it a little bit more now. Alright, the parking brake is on. Alright. Cabin crew disarm, slides, and cross-check.
Ready.
Cancelled. Cabin crew disarm, slides, and cross-check. Well, I did the best I could. Parking checklist.
Parking brake or chocks.
On. Set.
Engines.
Off.
Wing lights.
Off.
Fuel pumps.
Off.
Are you sure about that?
Yes.
Parking checklist completed.
Alright. Anyways, we made it here.
Okay.
It's struggling a little bit here, but we made it here. Here comes the bridge, and we are good to go. Yeah, that map is awesome. That map is awesome. If you don't know where you're going, if you're unfamiliar with an airport, you can find it quickly and easily. Yeah, as opposed to navigating the menu structure. And the menu structure was never terrible, but the only the problem with the menu structure was never GSX. The problem with the menu structure was undisciplined developers who like I just showed you, like right here in Oslo is a perfect example of exactly what the problem is. If I could just, can I bring up the map now? No, I don't think I can do it. I don't think I can bring up the map now, can I? Show ENGM airport diagram? Yes, yes I can. But yeah, this is the problem here, is lazy, not lazy, but poor developers. So like I said, like all of these look like airport gates to me all around here, but most of these are labeled as gates in red. But then for some reason, gate 50 and 50, 52, 54, 56 are labeled as ramp. Gate 58 is labeled as parking, so you'd have to go into the gate menu, or the ramp menu, or the parking menu to try and find these things. So the problem was never GSX, the problem was poor developers, that GSX was just simply displaying the information they provided, and the information they provided was poor quality. That's when you started to get these problems, and it frustrating for sure. So GSX has now solved a great big portion of that problem. All right, and that's it. We are done here. We're just going to zero out some stuff here on the FCU, but we have finished another leg of a pilot's life. We made it here. Performance was not great there towards the end, definitely with the rain, the night, the lights. It really kind of came falling away, so we're going to have to go to, not dashboard, we have to go to flight. We have to submit flight, and then we'll see what's going on. So submit flight. Yes. The landing was not great because, again, the frame rate fell almost to the single digits there. It's a little bit frustrating to deal with. So I'm definitely going to have to mess with OBS and see if I can get the frame rate up once I finish the stream. But for now, we got that one done. So we've got next time is our trip back to London from here, from Oslo over to London. Not logbook, schedule. And then follow that back to Copenhagen, down to Rome, and back to Oslo again. So we're going to come back to Oslo again after we go to Rome at the end of the season. 4 more flights still this season. I got $4 grand in the bank here on my dashboard. So what we're going to have to do is figure out what we want to do. I did buy the A350. I don't know if I ever mentioned that in the stream here, but I did buy the A350. The I&I Builds had a sale for Black Friday. I said, you know what, let's do it. Pulled the trigger on it, and I like it. I've read people have had performance complaints in the past. That the last update apparently fixed performance issues. I didn't see too many performance issues. It worked pretty well for me. The only problem I had with the A350 was just trying to figure out how to use the stupid thing. It's a bit of a complicated airplane. It's a very... If you understand Airbus from the A320 family, you'll get through a lot of it, but trying to navigate the FMS is very different because of the fact that there's one big there's one big screen for the MCDUs with separate keyboards and everything. It's not the screen and keyboard are not next to each other. There's differences. The overall philosophies kind of stayed the same. I'm just gonna kill this guy here if I can. There we go. Yeah, the basic... What am I trying to do here? Not that one. This one. Just close you for now. The basic philosophies of the Airbus kind of stayed the same, but just the way you interact with the system is quite a bit different in the 350 from the 320 family. But it's not impossible to figure out, and I did find a copy of the A350 FCOM Flight Crew Operations Manual online, which I followed to the T to try and fire it up and get it going. So I've done about 3 flights in the A350. It's a good airplane. I like it. It doesn't feel like a big, heavy airplane. It does when you're maneuvering on the ground. In the air, it doesn't feel big and heavy at all, which apparently is a common report, is that real-world pilots say it's pretty agile and nimble for an airplane of its size. You don't notice the size of the airplane, the inertia of the airplane when you're maneuvering it. Use the flight controls. The flight controls are tuned to make it feel a bit like a lighter airplane. On the ground, you know it's big because it's just how it handles on the ground, the length of the wheelbase and everything. But yeah, I enjoyed it, and I need to put a few more flights into my belt. So I don't know if it's going to happen this season. I think we'll do one more season of Scandinavian Airlines though. So probably in the next season, and we'll use this $4,200 I got in my bank account, and we will buy ourselves a type rating on the A350, and we'll fly the A350 for Scandinavian. Not just the A350 the next season. I think we'll mix it up between the 320 and the 350, but it'll provide a little bit of interest. You guys will kind of laugh, I think, when I try to fly it, but if I can solve these performance issues with the streaming, then I think it's going to be a very enjoyable airplane to fly as well. So I'm looking forward to that. Right now, I'm going to go ahead and say farewell, guys. I hope you enjoyed the stream. I hope to see you guys again. And I hope that, yeah, we can stream more often. I anticipate that I will get at least one more stream in before Christmas. Don't want to make any promises, because if things go sideways, life gets in the way, I may not. But I will definitely try to get a stream in before Christmas. I will have some free time in the next 2 weeks. I actually have vacation in December, which is great. So I'll try and use that vacation week to try and get one more stream in. But in the meantime, guys, enjoy the rest of your day. We'll see you out there wherever you fly in the VATSIM skies. And yeah, take care of yourselves.